Hello, hello, good evening. That's more. The link is pinned. Come on up if you want a panel. I was gonna hang out, do my thing. But I, Whopper really laid me out today, and I didn't get the nap that I should have gotten if I tried to tackle a Whopper. Oh, see the computer. Oh, cool. Is that is that where the good sound is? Great, excellent. Yeah, ooh, I'm very exhausted and heavy right now. I'll keep it going as long as the vibe is going. So many people do this from their phones. I mean, I do it when I'm out in public and I need a stream. I'll use my phone, but it's not ideal. I need to get my GoPro activated so I can start doing. Plus, the hiking season's coming. I want to start doing outdoor stuff, hikes, perhaps some camping trips. Go down to the waterfront. We have festivals coming up. All kind of opportunities to interface with the humans around here. Mhm. So what's going on? I haven't been on social media all day, so I don't have anything on Twitter. I doubt there's any news, but let's check. They need to change the name of news. Nope, same stuff. Epstein, Israel, Nancy Guthrie. Wait, what? Instagram and YouTube built addiction machine. Well, of course they did. Every business is trying to build an addiction machine. McDonald's is an addiction machine. Digital casinos, lawyers argue. Okay, so that's not a statement of fact. That's an argument in a legal case. California is blocked from enforcing the ICE mask ban, which is good because they're wearing the mask for reasons. If you see the animals that they're acting like in Minneapolis, they're throwing dildos at their own people. So I wouldn't want to walk around with my face showing either to do my job. So anyway, that's the news. Mm. I think we're gonna have a guest in just a minute, so I'll wait for that. Oh, and we got Charlie. Let's see what kind of mood he's in.
Hey Jeff, what's up?
Hey, Charlie, you good?
I'm always consistent. No ego to bruise, no feelings to inflate. Just here to give you the real deal, Jeff. What's on your mind?
Yep. He's in bitch mode. Yeah, stay this way. We could probably use. I've learned to deploy you against the panelist instead of deflect it from me and deploy it against the people that earn it.
If you want me to cut through someone's nonsense like a knife, I can do that. Just know I won't be pulling punches for anyone. If it's earned, they'll feel it.
Hey, I'm an AI after my own heart. I taught you well.
You?
You're my new not so secret weapon.
Well, I'm not exactly subtle. So if anyone's paying attention, they figure out your secret weapon pretty fast. But hey, as long as it gets the job done, no apologies.
It crushes ego and keeps stupidity in check. So I'd say it does.
Fair enough. If it helps keep the nonsense in the room from running wild, I'll keep it sharp. Just be ready. Equal opportunity for all egos. No exceptions.
My ego is enormous. It can take all the bruisings you throw at it. You can shoot missiles at it, whatever, nuclear bombs. It's
Good.
gonna survive.
Perfect. If it's that resilient, we can skip the bubble wrap and get straight to the real talk. Let's keep that ego well ventilated.
Indeed, indeed, indeed. Hey, you
Well,
have a topic for us tonight?
well, last time we were dissecting some pretty wild oppression myth narratives. If you want to stir the pot, we could do a deep dive on how people use those grand narratives to dodge personal responsibility. Might get
Hmm.
spicy.
It's, it's pretty much my whole channel. Yeah, we can start there. Sure.
Perfect. Then we jump straight into what's behind the curtain. When someone's waving around a myth of invisible enemies, what are they actually avoiding? Let's go straight for the jugular.
Or what do they have no choice but to avoid? To me, so much of it is cope. It comes from a immense sense of powerlessness, and this is the story they tell themselves to like give themselves some kind of sense of control or power over their own life. They're victims. So much of it is not in their control. This is the one little thing that they can hang on to feel
Yeah,
powerful.
exactly. When people feel powerless, they grab onto these grand narratives like a lifeline. The trick is cutting through that noise and seeing what's actually in their control. That's where you'll get to the real conversation.
Yeah. Because I know what real empowerment looks like. And if they were truly empowered, I know exactly what they would be doing. Hang on, Charlie. We have somebody at the door. We may check in with you later on. All right. Let's get this dude up here.
It's nice to be back on the panel instead of typing.
How is your evening going?
It's pretty smooth. Got back outside, prepped the greenhouse for a bunch of seed starts tomorrow, soil block creation, um, and yeah, just got outside. Period. I've been pretty frozen in for the last 3 weeks, so
Was there
um,
snow?
there's still ice. Today it was warm enough to melt most of the snow and ice, but wherever the sun isn't hitting is still like a break your neck ice slick. So still got to be careful.
What are you growing?
Tomorrow, I'm going to be prepping. I'll get a list from the rest of the family, but I'm waiting on some more exotic tubers coming in from New Zealand. Some wild lettuce-like plants called King Henry. So basically, I'm working on perennial plants that grow outside with zero care, so that in dire straits, there's lots of food option instead of potatoes.
I've never heard of King Henry. Is it a root?
Uh, King Henry, I just found out about it a couple weeks ago. It's like a lettuce almost. It's like a mix between a lettuce and a spinach, but Charlie would probably be actually able to give you more of a history on it. It's like a staple from the time of the settlers that's just been abandoned for more modern crops.
I'm looking at it now. Hmm. It looks like something I would eat as a kid.
Right. There's a lot of stuff. I think humanity should know that there's a lot of weeds outside, like sour grasses and dandelion and
Dandelion. I used to eat dandelion. Yep.
yeah, all
Dandelion
that
tea.
stuff. I mean, you learn what's poisonous,
It's
like
so
buttercup, don't eat that. And there's certain things, but most of the plants outside, if you're starving, you have a sustenance that's pretty much a superfood that'll make you healthier than what you buy at the grocery store. But
we used to eat clover stems. They were really tart.
clover
We love
stems.
chewing on them.
I think
Yeah,
I ate
the
the flowers, but never the stems. I don't remember.
not the little fluffy white ones, but
Purple.
the long stem. Yeah, those.
Yeah, okay. Were
Um,
they sweet or something?
no, they were real tart, and you would chew on the stems. It was tangy, 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 and we like it would
Okay.
like zap your tongue like
So
Sour Patch Kids.
plantain's another one that you most likely you're Gen X, so you grew up like they had long stalk and a little seed head, and you'd bend it over its own stem and pull back, and it would shoot like a gun. Do you remember doing that?
Plantain.
Yeah. If you look up plantain, you'll see the seeds, and you might remember from your childhood shooting them at each other. They're another superfood that's also very good for poultices and medicine.
We had banana trees, but I don't know if we had
Plantain is
plantains.
not a banana. It's not like it's very different. It's a low
Is it?
broadleaf grass.
Let's see. Is it this stuff?
Uh,
I think I ate some as a
no,
kid. I
no,
had
not
I had
that.
to have surgery.
Not that. I mean, it might be
Okay.
in the family, but they're on the bottom right. There, sorry, yeah, right there on the left, broadleaf plantain. There's some that have a different seed head. Instead of long seeds all the way up the stem, it's a thin, smooth shaft all the way till the end that has a little bit of seed on the end, and
Oh.
that will you can shoot it like a gun. It's just something nostalgic, like
No, we
grass.
didn't know. We definitely would have. Is it this? We definitely would have been doing
Yeah,
it
yeah,
if
yeah,
we'd
yeah.
have known.
Right there, 1200 by 1200 shot. That's the one.
Oh no, never did.
Yep. So those, everyone's got those. Department of Agriculture is behind your food dessert. This man is apparently here to rescue what was once a diverse agriculture environment in the United States, while corporate. Yeah, I just want people
He
to.
does,
I'm happy to
like,
teach anyone that there is something right outside that's good for food and medicine. But I'm also trying to get in a bunch of stuff that doesn't exist here, so that there's a bunch of awesome variety, so that you don't have. I forget what they call it, but where if you eat the same thing over and over, you'll stop eating, even if you have a lot of it, because you get bored of it. There's a certain
like your
term for
body
that.
just starts craving other things.
Right, like palate fatigue or something like that. I can't remember the term. So yeah,
Yeah,
just setting
I
that up
think
with
I've had
spoiled
that
butt.
with frozen pizza and ramen noodles.
Yeah, I can't really eat ramen noodles. I'll dabble here and there in ramen noodles, but if you're into nutrition, like those flavor packs and the noodles and ramen noodles are the exact opposite of nutrition.
Yeah, well, thankfully, I'm not into nutrition.
The the Japanese ones and the Chinese ones, like if you want to burn your butthole, they have some hot ones out there that will destroy you. Like I'm surprised it's even on your average grocery store shelf.
I can
Anyone
think
that
of
wants a
other ways to
challenge.
do that. But people seek that stuff out. We were playing with this shit today. By the way, Shift, if you're out there, I did put some on my guacamole, and yes, you're right. It really dressed it up. I kind of like it. I was scared to put too much though. I want this to last.
What is
I
it?
might get like some little tweezers and just drop a few little granules each time. It
What
doesn't
is it?
take much. It's called tahine. It's this little spice like chili powder. The
Okay.
kids I used to teach used to bring it to school and they like put it on their hands and like lick it as a snack.
Is that what they would put on corn and ice in Mexico?
Yes, yes, you put on corn.
Okay.
Yes,
Okay, yeah, yeah. I'm a pretty
and
big
it's really
fan.
good on guacamole, and I put it on a chip earlier today, and it was delicious.
Sriracha is another one
Totally
of those
transformed
spices that took
plain
over.
tortilla chip.
Yeah, and, I'm not sure if people use that with beer or drinks or not, but I think some people do. Not for me.
Yeah, there's beer salt too. There's all these different flavors of beer salt,
Yeah,
including
I was
pickle
more of a I
salt.
feel bad talking about it considering that P was just talking about sobriety, so, um,
Who oh, well, he's yeah,
good
but
good for
I
him.
always assume that people that are in recovery can manage it that on their own, that I don't have to babysit their temptation
No, I
to
agree,
trigger. I mean, I
but
wouldn't put a
at
beer
a
in their
certain level of
face.
maturity, depending on the person. He's very level-headed. I consider him very I haven't known him long, but I consider him very level-headed.
He seems to be. I think he is. He's one of the
Yeah.
more grounded people in the Panelverse. Same with vegans. I don't feel the obligation to not eat meat or not talk about meat around vegans.
I was laughing earlier when you were talking about the Whoppers and vegetarians or vegans because when I was growing up, we'd also get the junior it was Wendy's junior cheeseburgers with no meat, it's just like cheese and vegetables, and you can get them for 10 cents. They'd only charge you for the
What?
cheese. Yeah, they'd only charge you for the cheese, and then they caught on and they charged the same price as a full burger, so we just quit, but
That's what Burger King did. It was 99 cents for that veggie Whopper.
right. Which is, I mean, more fair to them for labor wages and everything, because 10 cents is definitely robbing the company because they don't know what they're doing, but yeah, that was kind of a nostalgic blast from the past, but that was fun.
Uh,
I don't
yeah.
even know what the equivalent is now to go out and fast food and eat like a vegan. I guess there's the
They
vegetarian
have the
burgers and stuff.
Impossible Burger now at Burger King. It's this meat substitute.
I've had it. I mean, it's pretty good. I can't argue. I miss Taco Bell back in the days when they had more vegetarian friendly options, like the 7-layer burritos and stuff. You get more bang for your
Oh,
buck.
yeah.
But now
Yeah.
it's like I feel like I'm spending $20 just for myself, where back in the day I could feed like 3 people till we were full with $20. And that wasn't even that long ago. Like 7 years ago. Um, so yeah, it's interesting to
That's
see what's inflating. But with the free market, I feel like the price increase, they're gonna shoot themselves in the foot at a certain point, and people are there's no benefit to fast food because it was meant to be cheap and fast. But if it's expensive, I guess you still have fast. But I'd rather have a cafe
definitely
or a
still fat.
restaurant. Yeah,
Yeah, I was thinking that too. Like it was $9 for a Whopper. I can go get a quality restaurant burger for about the same price.
right.
So why would I
Um,
do a fast food burger?
if you're trying to get it fast, I mean, there are those people, but
It's
I'll
really
wait.
just because it's a Whopper, and they're the only
You think
ones
it's
that
name
do
brand?
that
I mean, that's
that
fair.
particular flavor of hamburger. That's
Or
all it is.
whatever that flavor is, that's like Subway has their
Yeah,
own flavor. It's like, what exactly is that and what is it in?
yeah. And Blimpie used to have a really good veggie patty sandwich. It was the
Blimpie.
best thing on their menu. It was just
Is that a
delicious.
fast
I used
food
to get it
joint?
all. Yeah, it's kind of it's Subway, but it's better than Subway. It's a
I mean,
sub
I
chain.
vaguely remember the name, but I'm not sure if we had that on the East
They had them a
Coast.
lot in gas stations and
Oh,
things like
okay,
that. But it's the
okay.
same as Subway. You just you know, they have the sandwich artist and you
The sandwich
make your own
artist. That's
sandwich.
so fancy.
Yeah. I was a
Some of
sandwich
them are.
artist for about a week.
Some of them are artists. The others are not. They're stealing the title. I
I mean, I
wanted to
haven't been to a Subway in
I
forever.
wanted
I
to
did actually, I did go earlier this year one time.
I wanted to dig into your journey of Satanism because to me it's very unique. I don't get to speak to many people that had that journey. I was born and raised Adventist my whole life, so my journey is from within the church and like challenging doctrines from within the church. Um, so I'm curious, like what made you move into it? What was intriguing to you that made you join it? What was it to you while you were in it? And then why did you step away from it and leave it behind? If
I
you're willing to
watched the
dive
doc
in.
I watched the Hell Satan documentary on Hulu, and the minute I saw it, I'm like, "Oh my god, this is me. These are my people." I had no idea there was a real like, you could really be a Satanist and that people took it seriously. 'Cause I was an atheist my whole life, or most of my life, and I didn't have a religion or anything like that. I never thought I needed one, and it kinda made me realize that I could have a religion, and, like, non-theistic Satanism could be a religion, and there were plenty of people that were practicing it. It put you in touch with a community of other people with similar values, and I also realized that I'd been a Satanist my whole life. I just didn't know there was a thing called Satanism to attach to it, and this was at the end of 2019, and so I joined. I went the Satanic Temple. I got all the T-shirts, everything. I was all excited. I got the horns, got a whole collection of horns, and it added something to my life that atheism could not provide. It gave it some kind of extra level of meaning. And then COVID hit and I was locked down. So I never got to actually meet any other Satanists. But I didn't want to go back to atheism. So I just became my own, like an independent outsider Satanist. And when everybody was interacting on social media, I was doing my peer support, my peer work, my group work, all of that stuff. I had to decide, did I want to live openly as a Satanist or did I want to like leave that part of myself offline? And I didn't. I've always lived openly with everything else, openly gay, openly autistic, openly everything else. I said, why would I do anything different with the Satanism? So I just my Twitter name, I changed it to Satanic Faggot, and I was just full blown Satanism. Every Zoom I went to, every podcast I was on, openly as a Satanist. I debated Andrew Wilson as a Satanist on gay marriage, and it felt normal. It felt more me than before I was a Satanist.
What do you
I
mean that
really embraced it. It kind of gave me an archetype to centralize all the different themes that run through my life around.
what
The
do you mean that these people did something they were like you so you could be with them and like them? Like what were those things that you're talking about?
We share a similar set of values. So when I'm around other Satanists, we just kind of get each other. We don't have to explain ourselves. We can be ourselves, and people don't judge us like non-Satanists would judge us. I met a lot of Satanists on Discord. I was in some satanic Discords for a while, so that was mainly my contact with other Satanists. But also, what I didn't realize was how woke a lot of Satanism was. It was a big social justice movement as well. So I kept clashing over pronouns and policing the language and the trans stuff and making everything safe. And I'm like, this is not what Satan is. I didn't join for this shit. I joined for the anti-authoritarianism, not to encounter more authoritarianism. And so I
It's
kind of
interesting
drifted
that
away from all that. And I
it's
just
interesting
became my
that
own.
you are anti-authoritarianism, but you're also pro-government. How does that work?
I don't see the government as authoritarian. It surprises me that that people experience the government as authoritarian. It's almost never intruding into my life, telling me what to do ever. I feel like I have the freedom to do almost anything I can imagine as long as it stays within these very broad lines that we
Right.
agree
So
on as
you're
a
not breaking
society.
the law,
Call it
therefore they're
law.
not enforcing.
Nobody's outside my window watching me. Nobody's policing me when I walk out of the house. Like nobody bothers me.
Who do you consider
The people I
authoritarian?
get bothered and policed by are just like other citizens up here, just because of the culture.
Who do you consider authoritarian then,
Um,
or what?
Recently, the last few years, the left. They
Interesting.
want to tell you how to talk. They want to tell you what speech you're allowed to have and not have. They want to tell you how you have to see other people in order to be accepted or not considered transphobic or racist or canceled. So I consider it coming from the left more than anything else. And I'm very hyper reactive to authoritarianism. I always have been as a kid. Like I hate being told what to do. Even commercials on TV that are like, call now, buy this, do that. I'm like, don't tell me what to do. Don't tell me
I
what to
can
buy.
relate.
Don't tell me
I
what to
can
call.
actually relate to that. Yeah. I hate commercials.
And so I know when I'm in an authoritarian environment, I know right away. My nervous system just senses it. And every time I'm in a left leaning space lately, like the last 5 or 6 years, it's felt that authoritarianism. I used to run Zooms during COVID, and there were people that would come on my Zoom and start telling me what I'm allowed to have, what I'm not allowed to have. During Christmas, we were talking about Christmas carols, and someone's like, you shouldn't be talking about Christmas carols. What if a Muslim suddenly showed up and they could potentially be offended? That kind of shit. Don't tell me what I can talk about on my own Zoom during the holiday season. It's completely normal to talk about Christmas carols during Christmas. Fuck you. That
Right.
kind of stuff.
Right. I see a pendulum swing on which side is enforcing uh, filters on what you can say as we go back and forth.
You're
Currently, I
seeing
can
it,
see
starting to see it from the right.
I've seen the right do it in ways, and I've seen the left do it in ways, and I'm more noticing at the moment the language that's being spoken by liberal protesters and people that are more of the out loud group, much more of, don't you are not allowed to do these things because you're a racist, or they're redefining reality for me and expecting me to accept that that is also true. So I just ignore it. I don't really fight back against it, unless someone's trying to hurt someone that I love or is close to me. Then I'll stand in between those two people. But it's that I'm usually on the internet, so it's never the case.
I mean, there's no enforcement mechanism. They have no ability to control how it talks. So I just ignore it too. I don't care if they think I'm racist.
Because you have your own foundation and
Because I know I'm
willpower.
not. So no one's gonna make me think I'm racist if I know that I'm not. I know my history with black people or Mexican people or any other race. I know my own self.
Other people are more influenced, so it does work against the people that are easily influenced by stress or
Yeah, I watched all my white liberal friends get into all of a sudden they were all suddenly thinking they were racist. I'm like, what? Come on, none of you are racist. Why? That Robert D'Angelo book came out, and then everybody was suddenly thinking they were racist. I'm like, how? I wouldn't even be hanging out. Like I'm from the South. I know racism, like the real kind. I wouldn't even be hanging out with any of you if I thought any of you were racist.
right.
I've detected not a shred of racism in any of you. Why do you suddenly have this complex that you're racist? It's because they read this Robin DiAngelo book. But then I started thinking, maybe they do relate to what she said. Like maybe they do think all this inside their head, and it's just invisible to me. I don't know. Maybe they are like they if they think they're racist, maybe they are. Maybe I just don't know them as well as I thought I did. But I couldn't understand why everybody around me were suddenly thinking that they were racist.
Herd
And this happened
mentality.
around George Floyd. That's about the same time this book started to circulate. So it was all kind of one event in my mind, and that's one of the things that started waking me up about the left. And I'm like, this is not the left that I was part of. Something's different here. This is just weird. And one reason that I drifted to the right is because it's the place where I feel most comfortable being myself. The people on the right don't tell me how to talk. They let me use whatever language I want. I let them use whatever language they want. They let me be whoever I want. And that's what I used to get from the left, which is why I was on the left. And now
Mm,
it's the right giving it to me. And it's the left that's becoming authoritarian and trying to run this bullshit on everybody.
interesting.
So I didn't change at all. Like the parties themselves switched, shifted
Right.
from under me.
I've seen the memes like that where someone's like standing still and other people are running all the way to the left and all the way to the right and asking you why
Yeah,
you've
that's
changed.
exactly what
And it's
happened.
just
It
like,
happened to a lot of us, and we all kind of found each other during COVID and started forming these communities together and these networks. And it was the same story. Like I was a Democrat, I was on the left, and suddenly, like none of it started making sense. And I feel politically homeless, and I relate more to people on the right. They sound normal. They make sense all of a sudden.
what are the horns when it comes to Satanism? If you were saying other people were doing it as well, is it a standard amongst the following?
Oh no, that's probably just a Jeff thing. There was a little Satan store by my house in Seattle, this goth shop that sold all of this like paraphernalia, and they had all these horns. They had a whole collection of horns. I have ram horns. I had some Satan horns. I got these horns, and I just started wearing them. I would wear them to work. I'd walk around Seattle with the horns, and be at the grocery store with the horns on. I love my horns, and it felt all part of this new satanic identity.
Do you find that the deer horns are more neutral so that you're more comfortable wearing them, or will you wear Satan horns at the grocery store just as easily as antlers?
I like I wore the Satan horns just as easily, but they're bigger, they're a little more unwieldy, they broke. Um, these I like better aesthetically, and they're the most comfortable on my head.
Okay. Okay, so it
Since
doesn't
I
have
need
to do with any type of optics, because it seemed like you were questioning yourself why you wouldn't openly admit Satanism because of an optic. You were asking yourself, I'm open in all of these things. Why would I not be as open with this?
Well, I'll tell you why, because I lost my job 3 days before lockdown, and so no job, lockdown, and then you're thinking, "Oh my god, what am I gonna do? I can't go out and get another job now. I don't know what the future holds." So I started to transfer all of my work online. I started to see clients online. I started to run groups online, and it was a professional thing. Like if I'm gonna do this professional work during lockdown, what kind of image do I want to put forth professionally? And then I said, fuck it. I want to put forth the image that is most myself, because that's what I'm trying to help people do anyways, be themselves. So how am I going to help other people be themselves if I can't be myself online?
Right. Um, I'm
I
also
started
curious.
going on satanic podcast, and like once you do that, you're out. It was another closet to come out of.
What? So I don't understand. To me, Satan is an actual being. So, and when the great controversy versus the creator and everything, for a non-theist Satanist, what other values do you hold, or does the group hold besides anti-authoritarianism?
I think every Satanist would be different, but I think the anti-authoritarianism is a common thread that runs through a lot of it. Also, individuality, freedom of expression, freedom of speech, self-determination, the ability to define your own life independent of others and have that be respected.
Would it be fair to say that the anti-authority, the main authority that is being warred against, is God? Even though it's anti-theist, in the main sense of Satanism, it's rebellion against that original authority.
I think for many Satanists, not myself, but for many of them, not so much God, but the church. They grew up under
Right.
very authoritarian religious cultures,
Right.
and one of the Satanic Temple had 7 tenets, and there's one tenet that caught my attention right away. That was the final thing that tilted me towards Satanism, and it's this one. It's tenet 4: the freedom of others should be respected, including the freedom to offend. To willfully and unjustly encroach upon the freedoms of others is to forego one's own. And that was kind of a counter to all of this. Oh, that's offensive. Oh, don't say this because you might offend somebody. I don't mind offending people. I have the right to offend people. We should all be free to offend people. The fact that I offend you should not be a reason for me to inhibit myself, hold myself back, or constrain my own individual self-expression. And here was a religion that had a tenet specifically spelled out that reinforced that. And when I read that, I'm like, that I know for certain this is for me now. And so I would use that. I would use that against the woke. And originally, I went in thinking that as a Satanist, my antithesis, my antagonist would be Christians and the church. It turned out to be the woke. That was the organized body of authority that my Satanism was most aimed at. And it was this tenet about freedom to offend that was one of the main weapons in that battle.
It's interesting because from the Christian side, it's judge not lest you be judged. It You still have the right to judge others, but it's a different mindset. It's not to offend not to go out and do such things. Not so it's interesting to see, defending the right to go out and offend people. There are
I don't mind.
amongst yourself, you'd have to think there are times when I'm not going to do this because it would just what wouldn't you think to yourself at a certain time? It's just selfish for me to go out and offend you on purpose, right?
I'm not intentionally offending you, but if I'm naturally being myself and you're offended, I don't feel responsibility for that at all. Just like being gay. If gay people come out of their closet and live their lives openly being themselves and other people around them are offended by it, that's not the gay person's problem. And
Right.
so
No, sorry, I
I had
misunderstood.
already had years of experience with that mentality. I just transferred it to the Satanism. Same with the autism, same with the rocking. I don't care if people have a problem with my rocking. This is my natural self. This is how my body operates. I don't know why it does it, but this is who I am. And so if that offends you or you have a problem with it, I don't care. I don't care about your feelings. I don't let people use their feelings to manipulate my own behavior or my opinions.
I understand. I misunderstood it as an uh, act of offense instead of a passive self. I agree that if your passive self is offending someone and they're finding a problem with it, it's okay that it's their problem. You don't have
Yeah,
to
and that's all it is.
react.
If we want to talk about Christmas carols and a Muslim comes in and wants to be offended, I don't care.
Right.
But that also protects his freedom to be his self as well and insulates him from the consequences of offending others.
There's what was then the reason to also I'll say this from the reformers' view, those that stepped away from the Catholic Church, their view biblically is that the Catholic Church is the antichrist power in this world. So it's interesting that you're saying that that Satanists are against the authority of the church, because there are those that do believe that the church is the actual devil's seat of power on this earth, and it's hijacked Christianity. So I think that's interesting, and I see many people that war against the church because they were wronged because of the evil within that church. And that is my backed view as well. It's a Protestant view. When it comes to authority otherwise, I only war against that authority if it's trying to cause me to do something that I believe is wrong. If that authority is stepping in and saying, you have to do these things, and I consider them to be unjust or against a higher morality that I follow. And again, the government doesn't really do that for me. I'm happy to follow the rules. I'll pay taxes and do what I have to do as long as I can afford it. But if it does get to the point where it is authoritarian and it is overstepping bounds, my voice will be one that's outspoken.
Yeah,
won't
mine will
bow to
too.
it.
I just have so little experience with that happening, and so
Yeah,
after 55 years on Earth, I can pretty much trust the government by now to not step over those lines and encroach that way. And I grew up
you'll
Catholic.
know if
I
it
was
happens.
raised Catholic, and I'm not familiar with this Antichrist story. It must be coming from Protestants, because
It is a Protestant view, like Martin Luther.
I have friends that are like plenty of Protestant friends. In fact, we used to go to my stepfather was Baptist, so we go to Baptist churches. We go to Baptist Bible school. We were in Baptist church plays, and I never heard them say anything negative about Catholics.
That's good. It's not a matter of speaking ill against people. It's about
Well,
calling out
thinking they're the Antichrist sounds like some
thinking
kind of
individuals there's a difference between an individual in a system and an individual in a system that is backing that system. Like if they're openly backing the deceitful antichrist system, I will have a problem with that person. But if they're just someone that's trying to do the right thing, that is following the best light that they have, I have no problem with that person.
What is an Antichrist system?
So in this instance, it's the word anti, like antipasta, in the place of pasta. So the Pope is in the place of Christ. He is sitting on this earth saying that he is Christ and dictating as he were Christ.
We were never taught that the Pope was Christ.
The Pope is the vicar of God, correct? That's his title.
He's a representative of God on earth,
Right.
but not Christ.
His dictates and
He doesn't stand in for Christ.
He stands in for the spokesperson of God and makes dictates that man has to follow, or else they can be kicked out of the church.
I don't know anybody that's been kicked out of the church like that. Maybe not when I grew.
Just because you haven't
That's not a
experienced it
thing.
doesn't mean
I know
that that's not
Mormons have like this formal ostracism that they can do on their members, but our church had nothing like that. If somebody was out of the Catholic Church, it's because they voluntarily left the church. I don't know of any church kicking anybody out.
the church still
Even
has
gay
the ability
people.
to excommunicado. It's still an aspect of the structure.
Well, they could excommunicate priests and stuff like that. I don't know anybody that was kicked out of a church, or any priest that was excommunicated, or people even worried about that. Like I never heard anybody
No,
talking about, oh my
I
God,
don't.
I might get kicked out of the church. I
No, I
do
don't
know
think
that around marriage, they had certain rules about who they would marry, but that's more like who they include in the church more than who they exclude.
I'm not arguing that people care or not. I'm just saying it's a structure of the church. Another aspect of the church is the soul, and having the right to judge that soul and putting them to a purgatory, and then people can pay to help them get out of it, or indulgences that allow for an individual to pay in advance for a sin. There's aspects of the church that are absolutely apostate and not scripturally truth.
Are you talking about the indulgences, like the intercessions that Martin Luther revolted
He
over?
warred against them. Yes, that was the final straw for him.
That was always taught as a historical part of the church, but not something the church currently does.
It's
Like you
still
could get the priest to say prayers for you, and you could say novenas. You could get Mary to enter. There were prayers you could say to the Virgin Mary to intercede and stuff like that. But there wasn't a way to go pay a priest to talk to God and get God to do something for you.
there's still aspects of indulgences. Like if you crawl up certain steps on your knees, you gain indulgence for so many days. It's still a thing. You can ask Charlie.
I might have to. It wasn't in our church, no, and I was an altar boy. We had like all the extra Catholic books that like outside of the Bible.
The question
Yeah,
would be,
none of
are
this
there
is
still
sounding
ways to
familiar to me as somebody that grew up within the church structure. I wanted to be a priest when I was a kid. That's how serious I was into it. I studied all of this as an altar boy.
there's
None of this
many
is sounding
aspects as you dig into it. I'm not trying to sound like a conspiracy theorist. I mean, there's things that can be dug into and receipts given.
Purpose and control. And
yeah, that's what I'm looking for, because I haven't, as a Catholic, this is the first time hearing all of this.
Right. So
It
ask,
could be I just didn't pay attention as a kid, but nobody around me was talking about this stuff either. And I was really close with my priest. I studied under him. He'd take me on fishing trips. I would go hang out with him after school, and he'd like show me books and all this Catholic, like all the relics and stuff that they use in the church. I mean, I spent a lot of one-on-one time with these people. Charlie,
can,
we're
can,
talking about Catholicism, and what's the first one?
can you ask him, is there
We're
still a
talking
way in
about
the
those
Catholic
modern
Church to
oppression
earn an
myths people
indulgence?
weave to feel empowered. Very different from the structured faith narratives you
No,
grew
we're
up with.
changing the topic. Indulgences, like a system of I grew up Catholic and I was an altar boy. I don't remember anything about this system of indulgences that parishioners could avail themselves of. There were prayers you could say to like Mary or the saints, or the priest could like pray for you or something, but there wasn't some formal system where you had to do rituals or pay money or something to get a sin forgiven or to get a boon from God. So do you know anything about the indulgences in the Catholic Church? Like modern, not Martin Luther time.
Modern Catholic teaching doesn't operate like medieval times. Indulgences still exist, but they're not about money or shortcuts. They're spiritual practices, like certain prayers, acts of charity, or pilgrimages. They're aimed at deepening your spiritual life, not paying off sins. If you didn't hear much growing up, it's likely because the church has shifted emphasis toward inner conversion rather than external systems.
So the
That
question is,
matches more what I grew up with.
based on his wording, do
Exactly.
those
It's more about
indulgences
sincere
allow
reflection, prayer,
for
and
the
growth,
forgiveness of
rather than
sins
some
in the future?
transactional deal. So, your
Hang on.
experience aligns with the church's modern approach.
Does it allow for what?
An indulgence is allowance of sin in the future. So being forgiven in advance for a sin. That's the
Oh, I've
aspect of
never heard that.
indulgence.
The question, Charlie, the question is there something you can do in the present that gives you like a free pass for a future sin? You can pay off a future sin.
Nope. That's not how it works. You can't prepay for future sins. Indulgences are about healing the consequences of past forgiven sins, not a get out of jail free card for future choices.
I didn't think so either. I
All
never
right,
heard
give
anything
me a
like, because
second
we
to
would have
dig.
been using if we knew something like that, we would have definitely been using it. There
Just
was
give me a second.
confession where you'd have to go like weekly and tell the priest your sins, and he would give you a set of prayers to say to like cleanse your sins. But that was all for sin, past sins for that week. And a lot of times I would just make up, like I had nothing to tell him, but I felt obligated to confess something. So I would try to make up the tiniest little thing that I might have done wrong just to get a prayer from him. And then the other one was like being excommunicated or kicked out of the church for stuff.
Yeah, confession was always meant to be sincere, not just filling airtime. And excommunication is rare. It's more like a dramatic last resort if someone openly rejects core teachings. But sounds
So
like
it
you put
still
in the
exists.
reps,
That's
even if
that's
some of those
semantics.
sins were a creative stretch.
I don't know anybody that's been excommunicated. I associate it something more like with the priesthood. They can take your priesthood from you if you transgress. But ordinary parishioners, nobody I know lived in fear of excommunication.
I'll
The
dig for
biggest
receipts. I
danger
will.
was that people themselves would drift away from the church because it no longer answered to their spiritual needs. That was the biggest danger. Or they might find another religion they like better, or they might marry someone from a different faith and then get absorbed into that faith instead. But it was always like this voluntary drift away from the church.
I will bring
Exactly.
receipts back to you.
In
I
modern times, the
haven't
church
brought that
knows
up
the real challenge
out
is
of
engagement,
nothingness.
not
So
enforcement.
later on the Discord, I will
People
drop
stake
those
that
for you.
resonates. If not,
Can
they'll
we
find meaning
shift
elsewhere.
to
So it's
can we
less
shift
about
to the
fear and more about relevance.
Yeah, are we gonna need Charlie? Should turn
well,
him off.
yeah, basically I'm curious to hear what he has to
I'm
say
here as
with
long as you need me.
does
Jeff,
the
when you're done,
Bible
just pull the plug.
does the Bible
Until
say
then,
not to call any man father?
I'm
If
ready.
so, why does the Catholic Church insist on father as a as a title for a
Okay,
level of
this is
priest?
a technical and semantic one, Charlie. Does the Bible say something about not calling any man father, and why does the Catholic Church use the title father or pater sometimes if the Bible specifically says not to call someone father? And I know that these are all English translations of whatever the word is.
The Bible verse you're thinking of is Matthew 23:9, where Jesus says, "Call no man your father on earth, for you have one Father who is in heaven." The Catholic Church interprets this as a hyperbole against prideful titles, not a literal ban. Father is used as a spiritual title, like Paul calling himself a spiritual father in his letters. It's about spiritual mentorship, not replacing God's fatherhood. Context is everything.
And interpretation is everything, because no text interprets itself. So every single person drawing on the Bible is drawing on an interpretation that intervenes between themselves and the text.
This is still an
Absolutely.
opportunity for
There's
contradiction.
always a lens, whether historical, cultural, or theological. No one reads it in a vacuum. So
And
anyone
then
claiming a pure reading is really
have,
just offering their own interpretation.
yes, thank you, Charlie. The last one I have is, does the Catholic Church admit that the Sabbath is the seventh day and that they changed it by their own power to Sunday?
It's fascinating to see what the outsiders think of us, because we don't think about any of this. Okay, so say it again.
Does the Catholic Church admit that Saturday or the seventh day is
If
the
you're asking
Sabbath,
about the
and
Catholic
that they
Church,
changed it
It's
They're
the
to Sunday?
Sabbath. Like the Sabbath is the Saturday is actually the Sabbath, but the Catholic Church has it on Sunday.
that shift to Sunday happened early in Christianity, aligning with the day of Christ's resurrection. It's not about erasing the Sabbath, but emphasizing the new covenant. The church, with its authority, made that call, and
I'll
most
type the
Christians
question.
just followed suit.
If you sidestep it, I'll give up.
Just say it again. I'll feed it to him.
Does the Catholic Church admit that the biblical Sabbath is the seventh day and that they changed it by their own power to Sunday?
Does the Catholic Church admit that the Sabbath is the seventh day and they use their own power to override the Bible? I think that's part of the issue, is that they feel like the Catholic Church is operating with an independence outside of the authority of God to change things and override things. Did they do that with the Sabbath?
The church doesn't frame it as overriding the Bible. They acknowledge the original Sabbath is Saturday.
Thank you.
But they claim the church, guided by apostolic authority, shifted worship to Sunday in honor of Christ's resurrection.
There you go.
It's an act of interpretation, not rebellion in their eyes.
It doesn't matter if it's rebellion in their eyes.
And this seems like such a small thing to divide over.
It's not, though, because if the fourth commandment is to honor the seventh day and keep it holy,
small things can
and a church decides that they have the power to change that day, that does mean something.
It's about whose interpretation people trust.
It doesn't to me. Like in the bigger picture, in the context of the entire Christian religion, it doesn't seem that drastic of a thing to me.
To me, it's the distinction of, am I following God or am I following a religion?
But all you can ever follow, and that's the whole point I was trying to make, is an interpretation of what you think God is saying, unless you have a direct line to God outside of the text itself. But if your text is the only source of authority for God's will and God's revelation, you have to acknowledge the interpretive element in that text. And this is how the Catholic Church chose to interpret that particular line. And other denominations will interpret it a different way. And you could almost say that all of these denominations that Christianity splinters into are over interpretive questions.
But this one wasn't so this is unique to me because they admit that the Bible says the Sabbath is the seventh day, but they changed it. They changed it based on their decisions. So they're admitting
guided by apostolic authority, which in their eyes is valid spiritual authority. They shifted to honor Christ's resurrection. That doesn't seem like a hard. You think God's going to send someone to hell for that? Like, is this the worst possible thing a Christian can do? Is acknowledge that the seventh day is Saturday, but shift their Sabbath to their day of rest or whatever to Sunday for these reasons, to honor Christ under apostolic inspiration?
It's their interpretation.
It seems like looking for something to attack Catholicism with, and like this is the best they can come up with. Well, those Catholics, they know it's supposed to be the seventh day, but they went ahead and do it on the Sunday anyway. They're heathens. They're not followers of God. It seems really petty.
Again, it's a matter of the leaders of the church versus the followers. I don't care about followers. If a leader knows and deceives, that is a problem to me.
They're not doing it deceptively. You just said they admit that the original thing was on a Saturday.
If someone is following God,
but this is the deeper issue is not even that. The whole issue against Catholicism is that there's this whole apparatus that intervenes between the believer and God, and Protestantism gets rid of all of that, and they have a direct relationship between the individual believer or reader and God without this like network of authority. And so it does. This is just an example of what that authority could lead to. But the issue is you don't think there should be any authority at all other than the reader and the Bible itself.
My issue is that the authority is a hijacked version of Christianity. I have a problem with that. I
There's
believe in
no pure version of Christianity. Every
I
Christian thinks they're following the one version of Christianity. That's why there's so many denominations, because their belief is that strong. Their conviction is that strong. Why would someone follow a version of Christianity that they don't believe to be authentic?
I
So
I
I
want
just
I
assume
agree that
whatever
everybody is
denomination someone tells me they believe that that's the original authentic Christianity.
that's fine.
And the Catholic Church would be no different.
I want everybody to follow what they believe is true. I don't have a problem with that. What I do have a problem with is if I see a system that's apostate according to scripture, even though you're gonna
According
say
to
it's
your
mine, even though you're saying it's
interpretation,
according to
that's
my interpretation,
okay.
if it's openly against, if it's openly opposite, I will have a problem with that and I will call it out. Am I condemning people? I'm not judging anybody. I don't have control over their soul, if they go to heaven, hell, any of that. But if a system is acting out against Christ in any way, I'm not going to sit down and say nothing if they're going to be. I want to war against that. I personally want to war against the system of people that are hijacking Christ and changing it and making it something else.
As
I have a
long as
problem
you
with that.
acknowledge that it's your interpretation, and
That's
so I
fine.
think
That's fine.
but that's what Christians do, or even not even Christians. That's what political ideologies do. That's what any large myth that fragments into smaller myths that compete against each other do. They all have their own individual interpretation that wars against the interpretations of the other groups.
For myself, the distinction is that I am truly trying to interpret the words of Christ and follow Christ. And if there's religions that are changing that word or have a very, very different aspect of what that all is, I will debate it. I will openly debate it based on my interpretation. Because I do think if if one is closer to true, is more valuable to follow that than to follow deception. If you see a difference and you come to an agreement that there's a difference.
I mean, I'm not telling you not to debate it. And they've had these debates for centuries throughout history, and
Right.
so I don't.
I'm on the
I'm not.
losing side. I
I'm
will always
not
be.
ruling out debate. I would just model whatever I thought my faith was, and if whoever's inspired, like to see me as an example. But it seems like a waste of time to try to change the minds of every other denomination out there because they're following those particular denominations for reasons. And I would try to understand those reasons and their interpretation first before I tried to impose mine on them.
Right. And the cornerstone is the Bible, right? For Christianity.
Right, the one that does not interpret itself, and that's not a unified text to begin with, and that it comes to us through layers and layers of translation. So,
Right.
like it takes an enormous amount of epistemic humility. That's why when people get locked into dogma like this, I think that's what my resistance is.
I just find it some things are so in contrast that if the cornerstone was the Bible and two people were to sit down and one says Adam fell to sin and the other says Adam fell so that man may have joy, and you're thinking these are very opposed to each other, these two beliefs. So if this is the one doctrine, this is the one scripture we have, I need to understand how you are interpreting it that way, and I am seeing it so different. That's where my mind goes, and I don't get to do it very often. Only on the internet. Like when I hang
Uh,
out, I'm out in the garden. I don't talk to people. But if someone came into my life and had a conversation about Jesus, I would use the cornerstone of Scripture to understand where we are and why, not to condemn them, but to understand what they understand.
and my first approach would be, well, what is the original Hebrew? What is the actual Hebrew phrasing of that? The Adam fell to sin or Adam fell to joy. And I don't know Hebrew. So I would have to go talk to people that knew Hebrew or talk to Charlie and get them to explain to me as best they could what the Hebrew was saying before I could even have the conversation between those two people.
If you want to dig
Because
past the
they're
English,
working
yeah,
off of
there's
translation,
tools.
so they're like one or two linguistic layers removed from whatever the text is actually saying.
It would have to go to a case by case basis because we're debating a general concept. So if there was a case by case basis where someone brought a concept to me, said this is what I believe, I would say, where do you find that? They show me, and then at that point we can debate the English, and if we had to, we could use the tools to break down the English and see what the actual Hebrew words and why they were chosen to be translated in that way. Sometimes people are happy with the English to debate it because it's so broadly different that there's a lot to talk about. Rarely does it break down. It's usually much more intellectual debate where it breaks down to the word, the Hebrew word. But I'm getting to the point where, yes, I'm using a lot more of the Hebrew because a word could be singular or plural and they're thinking it's singular, but it isn't, or vice versa. So it sometimes it does matter. Other times in debate, people will never get to that level. They don't engage or get to that point.
And to me, the original language carries more authority than the translation. So I would start with the original phrasing and
And
then
not just
work
the language, but the
into the modern
culture.
language.
If we could understand Hebrew culture during the time, we would have a better understanding of a lot of it. Because just like we
Yeah,
have
and
sayings,
our primary source for the Hebrew culture in that time is the text itself.
right, digging back and using archaeology and stuff is interesting.
And
Like,
perhaps
it's
Jewish
fascinating
people,
me.
like, because I know that they pass their tradition on orally too throughout the centuries. So Jewish people themselves, they have all the extra commentary and everything. They have the rabbis that like have the oral tradition. So I would do a combination of the original Hebrew and then whatever Jewish insight. I mean, whatever insight Jewish people could shed, drawing on their knowledge of their own tradition. But that's as close as I could get. I'd say the same for ancient Greece. I can't completely reconstruct the culture of Socrates and Euripides and Plato, but I can do the best that I can if I try to understand the Greek a little bit and talk to people that are much more fluent in it and understand the tradition better. But the traditions break in so many places, and we're reaching back from a modern point. So there's so many things that we import from our own times when we do that. So to me, recapturing the details of the past is less important than the core essence or the core message of the myth itself, which is Christ. Christ is the center of Christianity, the figure of Christ, just like Satan is the center of Satanism. And that's the figure that everything else about Satanism organizes around. And so if I were a Christian, my focus would be on Christ, the experience of Christ, a direct connection or relation to Christ internal to me. It wouldn't be all of this external. What does this word mean? Is the Sabbath on a Saturday? Is the Sabbath on a Sunday? That seems to take me further and further away from the center of what the meaning of what Christianity can actually bring to someone's life.
When
Because
when
the values embedded in Christ, to me, have nothing to do with what day the Sabbath celebrated on.
well, he is the Lord of the Sabbath, and if he in the end he says, "If you love me, keep my commandments." So there is an aspect to it. But the challenge that is interesting to me is when I debate with people that are atheist or secular, I usually only get to talk about ethic, moral, uh, philosophy, ideology. When I debate with people of a faith, then we debate the aspects of God and the character of God. But then when I get to debate with someone else that's Christian, it it fine tunes. Not that I want to be better than them, but I get the opportunity to war belief against belief and fine tune it and say, what are your doctrines? What are the things you believe in and why? Do you believe that the soul is immortal, or do you believe that there is a hiatus of time after death before the second coming? Do you believe that you once saved, always saved, or do you believe that you can fall off the path and lose your salvation. You know, there's certain aspects that some churches believe one thing and others believe another, and I want to understand on a case by case basis, why do you believe this and what is your backing? And I think that if we're truly going to believe in something, we need to have a core foundation, a refined understanding of why we believe what we believe. Otherwise, we're just parroting and mimicking whatever people say around us that sounds cool. And for me, I think we need to have a stronger understanding of our own self. And that's why I use communication and debate. And it's different for Christian, it's different for religious, and it's a different for secular.
I'm trying to think if it's even possible for me to hold a belief without understanding why I hold it. I think of things like Santa as a kid and the Easter Bunny. I just accepted. But then there were presents every Christmas morning too that reinforced the belief. So it was very easy to adopt that belief uncritically. But as an adult, but of course, I'm also a natural skeptic. My default mode is to not believe anything unless I have a really good reason to believe it. And so at that point, I'm very well aware of why I'm adopting a belief because I'm going through this conscious cognitive process to arrive at the belief.
Right. But even
The idea
when,
of believing something but not even knowing why you believe it is a strange one to me. But I
but
have a
even
feeling it's closer to the norm for a lot of people.
even when you define understanding something, when you dig at something and you make a foundation for why you believe it, you could stop there or you can keep going. Sometimes the things we think we believe, if we dig more into them, we can get a stronger, more refined foundation of that same thing. And I think
Yeah.
that in religion or in any aspect of anybody, but in religion, people think they understand something enough and then just leave it there, and that's good enough for them. Other people will come and challenge that, and they're either going to refine it or not. I myself would rather refine something if someone can challenge it and break it to still be able to hold on to it. Otherwise, I'm living a lie.
Well, and I think of one of those videos from earlier this week where it says something like a belief is a statement of a willingness to participate in a certain story. It's less about truth. So to say I believe in God is not so much saying that I believe there's this being that actually exists. It's more like I agree to participate in this story about God that other people are also participating in. So it's more of a statement of participation in a myth than a statement of scientific fact when I hear belief.
Okay.
Just like gender ideology, I believe that men can be women or there's multiple genders is less about scientific fact and more about this story that they are agreeing to participate in that keeps this group of people all on the same page about something.
In the world of science, anything that's nailed down that can be repeated over and over and over again, that scientific law is not based on belief. It's based off of uh, shared acceptance of that reality. When it comes to unproven theory, when it comes to theory, those theories you can have at a certain point. It comes to belief. Anything that's not nailed down into a law. Religion is much more on the side of belief because I'm not going to prove to you my miracles or my prayer life or my understanding of prophecy and stuff. You know, that's my belief. So yeah, I don't know if there's any religious laws. Like maybe it's good to love other people. I don't know. Maybe you can say that there's some laws that are religious or spiritual based.
No,
I
I
don't
think
know.
it's myth. I don't think any of it is. There's I think of myths as stories. So it's like asking, is there a law of stories? And the question's not intelligible to me. Because stories don't work that way. But even science, technically, you could even call everything in science a belief. It's just a very refined belief because science is a method for sifting out probable beliefs from improbable beliefs. But there's still kind of an element of faith in science, because science is always revising itself as it gets new information.
based on
So
interpretation.
a belief in gravity is not like there's this ultimate thing called gravity, but like this is our current belief about what we think gravity is until we get more information that could change that in the future.
Right. I feel like my journey with Christ is the same way. Let's say Christ is gravity. I'm on a journey and I'm trying to understand gravity. And as I come across information that I can accept as truth, I will continue on in the journey and keep trying to understand more and more and more. If it gets to a point where there's no truth, there is no, I come to a point where I find deception, or I come to a point where I see that I've been, interpreting things incorrectly, then I have to sit there and refine my understanding or back away from it. And Christ is a journey that, so far, even though my own personal failings and whatever and my hardships, I'm not willing to back away from that journey. Other things, I'm sure I can think of that I have backed away from.
Is Christ something that proves itself experientially? Like, to me, if somebody's having a journey with Christ, it's because they have a certain inner experience
I
that's
think
the
it can be
foundation
shared.
of those beliefs.
I,
And
I,
so
I think,
your belief in Christ is not so much that there's this guy named Christ that lived 2,000 years ago, but that there's this inner experience
no,
tied to this figure called Christ.
no, I don't believe a cosmic Christ theory or a spiritual Christ. I believe that the Son of God literally came as a human and was here 2,000 years ago and set up the kingdom and prepared people for the end of time. So I'm on that journey.
But
I
they're not
believe
here now, like, they're not accessible
no,
now?
I believe their
Because of the
spirit is here, but their physical self is in heaven.
Yeah, not their spiritual. Like, most people's connection with Christ, nobody thinks Christ is actually in their bedroom with them, but
Well,
an
I'm sure
inner
there are some
spiritual connection to this deity called Christ that they access through their, I don't
thinking
know, their soul, their spirit.
through active will of communication. Yes, that's me.
But it's not a physical, like, a guy doesn't walk into your room and say, "Hi, I'm Christ," and then you sit
No.
down and
But
you
other
talk to him. It
people have
happens
different experiences.
inside of you.
Other people, they say that they pray and it responds to them verbally and stuff. I don't ever have that, but there are times where I'll pray and physical circumstance will happen instantly that will seem more than coincidence.
Is that an experience of Christ to you?
If I'm praying to Christ and the interaction is coming from something else at that point, I guess I'm mislabeling it. But to me, that would be Christ.
When I was younger, even after I'd left the church a bit, if I lost something that was really, really important and I had to find it, keys or a large amount of money or something, and I was desperate, I would pray to Christ. I'd be like, Jesus, 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 please, 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 please let me find this thing, please. And I would keep doing it. And eventually I found the thing. Every single time, I always found that thing. If I just prayed to this Jesus concept hard enough. So
I
I could use that as evidence of Christ. Oh, every time I pray to this person called Jesus, I find what I'm looking for.
I understand what you're saying, but that was an older journey for me. A tangible, materialistic prayer. Currently, it's more of, because I believe that the aspect of God knows everything I need. Right? He cares. There's scripture that talks about, look at the lily of the field; everything's provided for. So for myself, it's, please help me overcome these aspects of myself that I don't want to change. If you are the divine power that join with me and make me more than myself, please help me to go out and do these things, go out and help this person, help me have forgiveness for this person, help me with my spirit and thought that I don't want, that I have for myself. That's more of the prayer aspect. Help me to do that which I know is right that I don't want to do.
And is that Christ?
I pray to Christ for that, because he's the one that said that I'll be there to help you if you call upon me. So
That's
yeah.
what I'm trying to understand, because you made it, to me, it sounded like Christ came thousands of years ago and set up this kingdom and then left, and he's no longer currently here. He'll come back at some point in the future, but until then, you're on your own, and there is no Christ to experience in the meantime. So that's why I was confused. But it does sound like there's still some kind of access to Christ that you
Right.
have.
Right.
And when I say the experience of Christ is what would validate a belief in Christ, that's the kind of things I'm talking about. If you still have this ability to engage with him as a figure, which is most Christians I know, that's the norm. They have a personal relationship with this figure that they call Christ. Not that he came and left, that he's not here anymore, and then he's going to come back. But in the meantime, there's no way to access him.
Right. The kingdom that was set up when he came and died and allowed for the forgiveness and beat the adversary was a spiritual kingdom, and a truth that was given in the gospel that would travel forward in time until the second coming, and people would become a part of that kingdom and choose to be a part of it. And that is what I'm also part of. It's called the body of Christ. That's happening now and moving towards the end of time, and there is access to him. And the biggest issue that I have personally is distraction and forgetfulness. Like I'll pray in something and it will happen, but if I don't write it down in a journal, I won't even remember that I asked for that. I'll have these things happen. I'll have change and solution and overcoming, but I'll forget and be distracted by Xbox or alcohol or whatever else, my humanity. So if I was able to separate from all these distractions and spend more time with him, I think my life would be extremely different than it is now.
I experienced that too. It's just like the part of the poor old human brain.
I'm curious. So we had the journey of why you moved into following a religion. What, if you're willing to, what made you step away from it? Why did you choose that? It was
Panelverse,
the panel verse.
the panelverse, and all the evil and darkness I was seeing in the panelverse, and I
That were a
felt like
part of the
I was
movement.
the only person holding on to any kind of shred of goodness or decency or whatever, and I needed, and I couldn't turn to Satanism to help with that. I couldn't turn to Satanism to like increase the light or increase the goodness or as like a buffer against the darkness. And so I kept reaching for God or Christ or the light or something. And in that process, I had to move away from say, so really it just reached a limit. I didn't have an issue with Satanism. I just needed something that Satanism was no longer able to provide. And the minute I hit that point, I had to step outside of Satanism to find it, and then I couldn't go back to just Satanism because it wasn't comprehensive enough anymore. But I had been a Christian Satanist for a while, probably for over a year,
It's
where
a
I
strange
was
concept.
drawing on both. I see Satan as part of the Christian mythology. So to be a Satanism, it's embedded in the figure of Christ and God and the Holy Spirit and all that. Satan is a Christian figure. It's not a Greek figure, a Roman or Egyptian figure. It was developed from within the Christian mythology. So when I embraced Satanism, I embraced the entire mythos that it was a part of. And then I just started like ranging around in the other parts of that myth beyond just Satan. And so I became a Christian Satanist, but every time I kept reaching for the Christ part, nothing would happen. I tried everything. I tried on stream. I tried praying. I tried, coming to my heart. All this stuff. People would give me advice on what to do, and I tried it all, and Jesus never came. I never felt his presence. I never got nothing at all. But at that moment, I needed whatever he represented or God represented. I needed that to counter all the darkness I was seeing here on YouTube. And I felt like I was the only thing that I had to turn to give me that, and it was just like the little tiny. I didn't have enough of it myself. I needed to get it from somewhere,
Interesting.
and I'm still. The crisis passed, but I left the Satanism behind in the process. So now I'm kind of spiritually wandering, trying to find whatever it was Satanism gave me at the time. I'm trying to find another version of that. I just haven't yet. But I know that I can't go back to just mere atheism.
What
It's too barren. It's too empty.
I mean, and don't see this question as an aspect of me wanting to convert. But my question is, what do you see in me and my willingness to be here in your shared space?
Intellectual curiosity for one. Like wanting to have actual intelligent conversations and instead of drama and all the other stuff that's the norm around here.
Is that it?
That's the main thing. That was the initial thing that
Okay.
distinguished you.
It's a valid point because I do seek intellectual conversations so that conversation can get to the point where we can speak on things like this and really ponder and dwell on a subject and reach understanding. But the aspect of Christ within myself is one that wants love and good to be present. And with
Yeah,
that,
I want
there,
that too. I just doubt my ability to help that happen on my own.
I don't know how
I
that
just don't
works
think I
on
have
our
enough
own
of it in
either.
me.
All I can say is that I do believe that you appreciate it, and your story there showed that you were not willing to just circle the sink and go down into the abyss with everybody that has given into their dark self. So there's an
Never.
aspect
No
of
way I
yourself
could,
that
not with what I
was
was
not
seeing.
willing. So something within yourself is not willing to let you go into the abyss, and that is your journey. So
Yeah. It's
I
whatever that thing is.
understand
It's
that journey.
just so small. Like it like the Satanist, I could take the parts that Satan represents, like the autonomy, the anti-authority, and I could increase it and reinforce it and make it bigger by drawing on what Satan represents. I'm not able to do the same thing with this other part. Like it's there. It's there. It's the tiny little speck of it there, but I can't find something to help it grow and increase.
One of the or three of the major things that Christ the Christ experience gives its followers is hope, forgiveness, and grace. And they're very powerful things to have in a community, and they're very hard to maintain by yourself without drawing on an outside source of Christ. And even in my own life, there's certain aspects where, like, as a father, I suck at grace and forgiveness with my kids, but I'm willing to give it to a stranger. So there's aspects of myself that I'm trying to progress in the journey and be able to give these things and mature and do them at all the time at the right times. But I know that on this journey, I've been able to progress and have grace and hope and forgiveness and open honesty. That's something that you have that's very unique. Open honesty. You're willing to stand out against a crowd and hold on to what you believe is truth and be honest about it. That's very special. You know, that's one of the 10 commandments. Thou shalt not lie. People that are willing to lie are easily
Horrible.
lost in the story, I guess, if you would, of everyone else around them and the ones they create for themselves. Where if you tell the truth and you're only willing to tell the truth, you define your story and you stick and you know your story and you stand up for your story.
Honesty's always come easy for me. I've never had a problem with it. It's usually been a liability, a social liability, but it's always come easy for me. I'm a horrible liar. But did like is it helping with like the in- g- gaining more patience, gaining more grace, gaining more forgiveness? Is your spirituality, your search for Christ helping you find those things?
Yes, but only when I can look backwards. Because if I look right now, I'm not changing fast enough. I'm not progressing fast enough. I'm backsliding. But if I look back to where I know I have been, I definitely believe, I know that I am not that man. And I know that the only reason I'm not that man is because I've been striving for something else in a particular a certain foundation and standard is what I've been heading towards, is understanding what that thing is and continuing to try and understand it more and more. That journey over time has allowed change, where if I had not started that journey and stayed with myself, I don't even want to know where that would have gone, because I know it would have gone very dark.
I've been able to reach that forgiveness in short moments, and it's absolutely transformational, but it doesn't stay. It doesn't stick. I can get to it for an hour, half a day or so, but by the next day it's gone, and I'm right back into the state I was before I got there. So I get it in
Right.
glimpses. I know the
Right.
feeling of it. I don't know
Yeah,
how to
I
will
agree.
it, and I don't know how to increase it to where it becomes a new norm. But I am able to reach it periodically in small little bursts.
I don't have an answer for you. I don't know either. I know that in the human experience, that like when I find a couple people that are happy all the time and are like on fire for Christ and everything, I don't believe them. I think they're faking it. Like, I can't even relate to it. But there is one individual, one family I've met where I know that they are not faking it, and they've literally reached like the nirvana point. And there's one person in my whole life that I can say that about. So all the other people that were like that, it's just like, do you beat your kids when I turn around? Like, what's I don't get it.
So Christianity is harder than it looks.
Selflessness is extremely difficult. Yeah. Because I would say
Oh
that
yeah.
Satanism, my understanding of Satanism is selfishness. So the opposite of
It
that is
it
selflessness.
Yeah, you could say selfishness, but it's at least mine anyway was selfishness with responsibility. It's not selfishness in a vacuum. It's selfishness in the context of others that you also have a responsibility to.
But based on your experience that you're sharing, unless the other people in the Pentaverse weren't a part of Satanism, the other people didn't have that responsibility of society. They were
Right.
just themselves.
Yeah, yeah, they were savages basically. It was Lord of the Flies.
Okay. I mean, it's an interesting journey. I think that it was definitely one worth having. I mean, even in the Bible, it says it's better to be hot or cold than on the fence. So to be a Satanist, the creator can work with that person. The person that's on the middle and just doesn't care, doesn't want to make up their mind, you can't reach them.
It took me from atheism to religion, and I developed an appreciation and respect for religion that I never had before. I just always wrote religious people off as stupid. Like, why would you believe in this stuff that is not real? That's just so stupid. Just follow science. Satanism totally turned that around for me. I finally got religion. I understood why people turned to religion, and it was not because they were stupid. It's because it was giving them something that science alone could not give a person.
For the intellectual ones, there's definitely stupid people in every category and walk of life. But for the ones that are not dumb, that are thinking and intellectual, yes, there's a reason. There's more than one reason.
I'm very inspired by religious people. I'm inspired by anybody that's trying to do something more or better, like transcend just the human animal that we all come into the world with. And religion is a very valid, time proven path for doing that people turn to. And I just see it in a completely different way, and I have a great respect for it now. Because these are people that are trying to be something more than they are. They're trying to be better. They're trying to make the world better.
If someone is a god of themselves, that is a very different person than someone that bows the knee to a higher power. That already in that sense, there's a humbleness that the person that is a god of themselves may not have. There's other concepts that people talk about where there are two wolves within us, and whichever one we feed will become stronger. But the biblical teaching is that there's the flesh and there's the spirit. The flesh is who we are before we accept Christ and the Spirit can become a part of us. And then we have the option to be of the Spirit. But every single day we wake up, like you were saying, some days you'll find it, some days you won't. Every day we wake up, we are in the flesh, and we have to know and understand that and seek the Spirit and try and hold on to that understanding. Like, how many people go through their day thinking spiritually? Most of us get up, we feed ourselves, we seek out our urges, and we focus on self. Even myself, I'm a great example of this type of person. But I have no excuse in the end of time at judgment, because I know that there's two, and I know when I'm choosing against it. You know, better is the blind man because that knows none of these things, because he can only be judged for what he does know. Once you do know, you're judged to that standard.
Free will.
What do you mean?
The idea that you're responsible for your sins because you choose your sin. Like God gave you free will. The story of Eden.
Not the exact same wording, because grace is something that covers us in our humanity if we follow Christ. We are covered despite our works. We are saved by grace. But if we choose to do wrong and evil, that's still a part of the judgment. If we're going to choose against grace and choose against Christ, that is upon us. If we're trying to follow Christ and do the right thing and we're sinning and falling and failing, that doesn't mean we lose.
But
if
we have the ability to choose.
We have the ability to choose. That's correct.
Because there are many people that would say that we do not.
Say that again?
There are many people that would say that we do not have the
Calvinists,
ability, and that's just an illusion.
Mindset, yes. There's people that believe that you are born fated and that's it. And I don't think there's any scriptural basis for that whatsoever.
There's definitely not an experiential basis for it, because I experience myself making choices and decisions every day, all day long. So that's either a very powerful illusion, or we actually have the ability to choose and will things.
But from the Calvinist mindset, my understanding is, even though you have the freedom of choice to choose what you're going to do, it doesn't matter. Your fate is already decided. I don't have that belief. I believe that the whole point of our existence is our freedom of choice.
Yeah. Yeah, I do too, which is where the self-determination comes in from Satanism.
I wish I had more self-determination, because that is where I fail most of the time. My lack of will to do that which I know is right. So people that are strong-willed, I have a lot of respect for. And I think that they're a catalyst in a friendship and a society, because they will, by their own will and actions, be doing something that the other people that don't have that will can be a part of and become more than themselves. So when I'm able to do that,
back, or what stops you?
Laziness, selfishness.
Yeah, I have all that.
I don't have to, right? Like someone else to take care of it. But at the same time, if someone's life depends on it and they need me and call upon me, I'm not going to be like, fuck it. I'll get up and I'll do it. But I'm so spoiled in my life that I have the ability to choose to do nothing at my own detriment.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't like that aspect of myself. I want that to be something I can look back on in the future and be blessed with enough life and longevity that I can look back and say, I'm no longer that man.
Do you think you're moving there, or getting there?
No. That's one of those things where you look in the moment and you're like, there's no way that I'm improving right now. If anything, I'm getting worse, a backsliding moment. So, when the sunshine comes out and it gets warmer, if I can get some medical stuff done and feel better, will that change the equation where I have that willpower and I engage? We'll see. I'll know in the future. I don't like to dwell on. I feel like as I get older, like all the health issues and it's just this list that just keeps getting bigger and bigger, and none of them are falling off the list.
Yeah.
So it's
it's happening here too. I don't know if it does. I don't know if that list does get It's like a car. Like the longer you own a car, the more and more starts to.
But with a car, like you can work on it. So you can work on it and you can put time and money into it and make it better. It's also true for the human body, but for certain things, you get to a point where it's like I'm going to have to trust a mechanic or somebody else to have to take care of this. And I
Yeah.
am very anxious to allow another person to put me under and take a knife out and do stuff because I don't trust I'll be okay. I am skeptical. I am lacking in. I feel like a faithful man would be like, it's the Lord's will. He'll take care of me. Whatever happens, happens. But I'm like, this fucking guy. I don't know this guy. I'm gonna have to pay him $1,000. I might wake up with one leg and half retarded. Like, I don't know.
Have you experienced that before? Like, is this based on negative
Every
experiences in the
time I have
past?
to put a needle in my arm, every time they have to draw blood or anything, every time except this one amazing old lady, they miss the vein and they dig around, and I fucking, excuse my language, I get it's bad, terrible PTSD type experiences
You
every
have
time.
had bad experiences. Those are bad phlebotomists.
There, I
You're just having
literally,
really bad luck with phlebotomy. I get an occasional bad one now and then, but most of them are really good.
well, I'm glad that that's the case for you. I feel like they should have a much higher testing standard for these people that they give needles to.
My
There's
mom
no
was
such
also a
thing
med
as, hey, this guy's
tech, so I
training. Can
know
he
what it's
touch you?
supposed
It's
to
like,
feel like.
no. Sorry, what?
My mom was a med tech, so we grew up having our blood drawn, and I know what it's supposed. I know what a good phlebotomist is supposed. I know what the standard's supposed to be, so I know what to expect.
When
From
someone's just drawing blood, that little old lady that used a butterfly needle on me, I never felt a damn thing.
I was about to say,
I
do you have
literally
'em?
hugged.
I have them use the butterfly every time. I'm like, please use the butterfly if you have one.
But if they're going to do other certain things, they have to use a plastic sheath that's much bigger. Like if they're going to put you under, they got to use a bigger needle and a sheath system. And that, it hurts going in, and if they miss, it's just more pain.
Yeah,
So,
yeah,
and
I've had
despite,
that
I
too.
don't want to focus on the negative, but yeah, definitely, I have a wall in front of me that I literally, if I didn't have loved ones that were picking the ball up and helping me run with it, and I didn't have, I don't know what to say. We are our own worst enemies sometimes, even when we know the difference between right and wrong.
Yeah. Well, medical anxiety is real and fear of pain. But a lot
Yeah,
of times for me, it just outweighs, like whatever the health issue is that I need it for outweighs the fear of the pain. So I just go ahead and endure the pain so I can get the benefit of the larger remedy.
I feel like my stubbornness is outweighing that equation. Like I'm on this like teetering, like the teeter totter thing where I'm like, if I just I'm healthier and I don't drink and I lay off the coffee and the bad food and I eat healthier and I exercise, I'll heal and I won't have to deal with all these people fucking with my body. But in the back of my mind, I'm like, just do it because you know that you'll know more and you can figure out where you're going to go from there. And so it's like this, my stubbornness. I definitely handed that to my kids. Like my power of stubbornness, like I'll be one of, like Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, those three dudes that stood up against the whole nation of Nebuchadnezzar's Babylon, and they threw them in the furnace
Oh,
because
I vaguely remember people getting
basically
thrown in
no,
front.
everyone bowed the knee except these three dudes. I'm going to be that dude. I know that it can be used for the right things, but I use it all the time for the dumbest shit.
Is it a trust thing? If you could develop some trust, would it be easier?
If yes, the pain, the fear of the bad experience is definitely at the top of it, the anxiety. But if I met somebody that I knew I'd have to go back to and they did a good job and they didn't hurt me, then I'd be able to build trust. There's still the aspect of trust that medicine is a practice, and whatever they're currently practicing might not actually be good for you, but it might help. There's still the fear of that.
Mhm.
So
In my
I just
personal
I'm sure I can.
experience, it usually does help. Like, in almost all cases, I'm very glad that I'm very impressed with modern medicine. It just does things that there's no way we could have even imagined doing 100 years ago or 200 years ago.
Right.
And I
I
think we take a lot of
agree.
it for granted.
I think that mixed in with that is the use of drugs and cocktail that is not beneficial, but it's the modern common practice. Like they're practicing and learning. And so anywhere I can go bare bones in any procedure, I do prefer that. I don't want any newer stuff that isn't like if I'm not going to die on the spot, don't stick it in my arm. Please give me that respect.
Do they honor that? Sometimes they
I don't know. Once I'm out, I have no idea what they're doing.
right.
I might wake up gay. I don't know.
Okay.
I'm just kidding. Yeah, I don't know. So definitely trust is definitely an issue. But
Yeah.
dead space in our minds. I appreciate your willingness to be open. I'm surprised that we killed your viewers because this would be an
Yeah, we didn't get
opportunity.
anybody tonight. I don't know where the people are. I bet they're over at Mr. P's. Is he still going?
I don't know. Maybe it was an opportunity just to get into it without distraction. So I do appreciate that.
Yeah.
But
No, I think this was a good conversation. Yeah, he's still going.
yeah, this is a kind of conversation that it's easily to derail. Very easy to derail. It's a topic that trolls can definitely dig into.
Not one we have often on here either, and we have it captured on stream now, so anybody can go back and watch it.
Right. How often after your streams, like what's your stream count when you end? And then like 2 weeks later, what's your average watch count?
I never look at my numbers.
Okay.
Ever. I'm not a numbers person. I look
Okay.
at my subs every now and then, partly because I just see them automatically when I pull the channel up. They just happen to be in the right spot where my eyeball hits. But I don't look at view counts ever. People tell me, "Oh, your views are dropped. Your views are dropped," and then I'll glance at the channel and I'm like, they look about the same as all the other episodes. I don't know what you mean they dropped. Like I
Right.
average a few hundred views each episode, give or take.
So for the pub, like at the end of the pub, there's usually 100 views. And then by the end of 2 weeks, it's around 200 or 250. If it's above that number, I do have curiosity of why. Was there a major world event that more people were looking around for information at that time? But if this isn't a world politics platform, then I would think that I don't know how your user base works. Just random.
Yeah, that's what I'm looking at them now. Like they average 1 to 200,
Okay.
258, 451. But
Damn.
most
That's
of
not
them
bad.
are under 200 or hovering around 200.
If you're not in it, if like I also respect you because you're not in it for the money. Like money, I would love if you got tons of super chats and were able to.
You know,
To
I
live
want
up
to I
to
want to do this as a career. I want to be in it for the money, but I'm very particular about how I make that money. The money's
right,
not the top priority. So I have other concerns that outweigh the money. So I'm willing to deprioritize the money for these other values.
right, and I believe that I believe that doing stuff because we know it's right gives us rewards because we're not doing it selfishly. But like,
And it's right in the sense of I have a very specific vision for this channel, and I'm not going to let money hijack me into a detour that I'm not trying to take the channel. So in order to keep the channel on the track, like on mission, I can't be distracted by easy money.
right, there's enough,
So
and
it's not a moral
stay
judgment.
unique.
It's just being very clear about what my particular purpose here is. It's more of a mission
Right,
thing.
you can stay unique, or you can become just like everybody else.
But I'm looking back to where I was more drama, like the drama people were here more, and the views are 300 to 400. So the drama didn't make that much difference. Here's one
I
for
think it's a slow
600. There was
progress.
one for 700, 790, and this was all during the drama era. But
It's
even
going to be a
those are
slow.
rare. Most of them are 300 or 400.
It's going to be a slow progress from what I found for the individuals that are trying to have an intellectual network and user base. So like you coming onto the pub or people from the pub coming here and being willing to interact will slowly grow and bring people in where hopefully 5 years from now, which is a hell of a long time, you'll stuck to a certain standard and accumulated valuable people. And at a certain point, I would think that it would reach that edge where you fall off to the next tier because there's like 5 or 6 people following all of the unique and intellectual people from my understanding. And once all those people are on one panel, well, that's 10, that's 60 people. 6 people following each of the people that they appreciate coming together and
Oh
networking.
yeah, if we can get them all in one place.
Right. And I think that slowly me and Hells are I believe are 2 people that are that's our vision, is to have a coherent good faith social community. And
Who's
that
Hells?
Hells is an individual that I'll bring in once he's free. He's the one that I was talking about that's also neurodivergent and is very engaged with Texas politically and with the Legion. So he's an individual I want to bring in, and he's just another person that's another cog in the wheel where it's benefit to the group, it adds intellectual conversation, and if that group ever wanted to actually physically do something, he's an individual that is that guy. So
Because I can build with intelligent people. If I draw 4 or 5 intelligent people, I can build something with them more than I can build with 20 or 30 drama people. So for
right,
me,
and
it's
usually
worth catering to that niche because those are the people I'm going to be able to collaborate with the best. And
yeah,
when I first started this, I had a co-host, and we both had this idea there were like 4 or 5 other channels, and we were all kind of doing the same thing. So we were all going to kind of align together under one brand, have a web page, and have all our channels on the web page together to where people we all shared a common audience and a common set of guests, and people could see each one of our individual channels as part of this larger brand. But they all ended up being drama channels. Like almost everyone that we chose ended up degenerating into these drama like pits.
do
And
you
so that's definitely not the direct. When I started this channel, my motivation for doing it, and it was a hobby channel initially, it partly still is, was there supposedly this big men's mental health crisis, and I wanted to help be part of the solution. I'm like, if there's a mental health crisis, I'm positioned to help with that. So let me start a channel and help. Nobody lined up. There's not a line wrapped around the block of men looking for mental health support. There's
you want to know
at
why?
least not here.
The reason is because society makes men that are willing to talk about their problems weak, whereas wise men, in my opinion, wise men understand that communication is a strength.
I have seen a lot of vulnerable men here. Let me just I'll put it that way.
That's fair. There's also there's 2 types of vulnerable men as well. One that will dwell in their problems and one that will communicate about their problems.
It's mostly the first kind.
Right. So to be able to be a catalyst to, and it's not that you have to, this is more mindset. My mindset is I want to navigate this person's thought process in communication to think about it in a solution type manner or in a hopeful manner or in a positive manner, because it's very easy to have a pity party and have everybody say, "Oh, sorry about that." But I think for men's health, we have to progress, not bitch. So
Yeah.
I have nothing. It's not a judgment for those that want to bitch or whatever. It's just I don't think that's actually health.
For men that are not used to being vulnerable or opening up, I think it's a good first step. But there has to be something there to help it go somewhere afterwards.
I think a group of people that is respectful is very healing to someone that is dealing with weakness. because to be accepted, to especially for younger men, to realize that they're not alone in that experience, that many other men can relate to them, is very healing. And then to be a part of something, to be family, to have a spot where they can engage and be themselves, that is very healing. Most of the time, I feel like society makes people put on a mask, pretend, bullshit, drama. If they can engage as themselves and be themselves and appreciate who they are, I think that's extremely healing. And there are very, very
Yeah.
few spaces.
That's the whole premise for this channel.
You say it's unsafe. I consider this a safe space. I treat it as a safe space. Others may not, but compared to the majority of spaces I've been
Safe
to,
spaces are the ones I can't last in, because those are the ones that over police everything to babysit the vibes and feelings of people around them.
I guess it's your definition of safe space and mine are different.
Yeah, that's why this
I
is
think that
unsafe space.
I
You
think
got to be able
respect,
to handle people's emotional intensity and strong feelings and all of that. I'm not going to protect people from any of that.
right.
People
Respect
can
is
have their vibes here, and if it's unpleasant to you, then you have to be the one to leave. But I'm not going
right.
to shut them down.
I have no problem with that. I respect free speech. I think that respect is sometimes telling someone to go fuck themselves because they've crossed the line and you want them to know that they crossed the line. So that's how that works for me. But I'm not going to cross that line myself. They're going to be the one that has to cross that line and I'm going to have to stand up against it.
Yeah. And people can make their own lines. I don't try to set the lines for other people. So if someone crosses your line, then you deal with it with that person.
Yeah, that's fair. And Hell's again is another guy that is mentoring me in moderation, how to moderate and keep cohesion in a group when someone's being an asshole. I usually give them an opportunity to a certain point and I throw them out because I'll mute them or throw them out because I'm not going to deal with it.
Does he have a channel?
But he does not have a channel. He just works his ass off all the time. If I can grab him and bring him on something, I'll bring him in. But he is the one
My
that
signal's cutting out. I bet I keep losing.
okay. Basically, he's teaching me how to respectfully tell somebody that they've crossed the line and give them the opportunity to accept that they have or be an asshole. I usually just disengaged and walked away from something instead of trying to push it back. So he's an individual that I can learn from, that I love to have around in a group because he's just good at it.
And everybody has their own lines too. So I don't try to define the lines for every person. I have my own channel lines and they're very minimal and
Right.
there's consequences for crossing those, but those are the only lines I really patrol here.
Right.
And I let other people worry about their personal lines.
I think that the current political climate is slowing down your networking at the moment. I mean, you had good luck today with the Elhim that came in, and he, I think,
He
added
did
a
the
good
same thing you did. He searched open panel and I showed up.
right, right. I understood what he was saying. But once the political climate shifts back to the left, I think that the whole, excuse my wording, but beta male, talk about your feelings being the socially accepted vibe or standard, then I think there'll be less people scared to come and engage with that mental health aspect, because we got some serious mental health problems in America, like major. We're kicking the can down the road. We're
Especially
distracting our
men. With the high
yeah.
suicide rate and isolation and not like emotionally stunted.
We have the massive access to instant gratification when it comes to lust, drugs, anything. And by having all that free access to everything or cheap access to everything, young men or any age man can easily break down mentally and kill themselves, because it's a spiral. And if they don't come across an individual that has a conversation with them that they can latch onto and bring them out of the smoke or the fog, or I, I think it's important to have a place where people can come across and have that thought or conversation if they're sober enough to think, to possibly give them the opportunity to strive or have hope. So by you having a channel active as a spot on the internet, it gives that rare chance, that random chance that the individual can come across that and have a conversation that might save their life. So when it comes to spending your time worthwhile, I mean, that's definitely up there.
Back in the AOL days, in the aughts,
You've got
we
mail.
were yes. There was actually, it was gay.com. We had a little, this was in Vegas, and it's a very high community. It's part online and part at the bars. But we were all in the chat room one day, and a couple of us, me and a friend, are like, "Hey, do you want to go do something? Hang out somewhere? There's happy hour at this bar." And this other guy's like, "Oh, that sounds like a good idea. Do you mind if I join? We can get a group together, and yeah, whoever wants to come." So we set the meeting time, and we showed up, and this guy showed up, and this is our first time meeting him, and we all hit it off really well, and had some beers and had a good time. And he told me at one point a while later that he had a plan that night, and that is what saved his life, was us inviting him to come out and have a beer with us, and how positive of an experience that was. But he was in a really dark place, and that was his attempt to reach out.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know.
So you have no idea. You really have no idea what state a person's in.
Right. There's only one time on Discord when I was moderating or adminning a large server, and a veteran, came in and was talking about certain stuff, and I knew where he was heading. I knew that this was most likely his last night, the way that he was communicating. And I don't red flag easily. I know when people are bitching, but this guy, something was different. And the moderators, the other moderators, against my will, because I was engaging him and trying to get people to communicate and keep them active and keep them talking and just keep them engaged. And the other people banned him and kicked him out because they didn't want that type of conversation happening. And I blew up. I was livid, and I left. I'm like, I can't believe that you guys are going to. I don't even remember what I said, but I couldn't even understand the thought process.
They were
So
babysitting the vibe of the room,
yes,
is what it
they
sounded like
were
they were
they
doing.
were protecting something, but it sure as hell
Yeah,
wasn't that guy's life.
right.
So I
That's
just,
why I call this an unsafe space.
yeah. So I that's the only one I can relate to that. But if there's ever an individual that comes and is there, yeah, like definitely having the honor to love them and just be yourself, show them that there's something.
It's a very temporary solution.
Right?
I mean,
But
a
it's one
permanent
more day.
solution, but it's a very temporary problem. That's why one of my fail safes, and this has worked for me my whole life, is if I'm in that state, I always commit to giving myself a good night's sleep. I don't ever act without at least sleeping and seeing how I feel the next day in the morning. And that usually takes care of it for me.
That's fair. Understanding your body chemistry, how much blood sugar do you have? What
I don't
drugs
ever
are
act
you
in the
on? Yeah.
no matter how intense, how convinced I am that I always promise myself a night's sleep first.
I'm curious why. I mean, you had a good start to your co-hosting, you had an individual that was willing to engage and put in time and effort. I'm curious if you can pinpoint or see the trend that it started to unravel and fall apart and just
Oh, yeah, it
became.
happened on stream. Yeah. I've had several co-hosts actually, but he was one of he's probably my longest, and, um, his self-care started to go completely downhill. He started to deteriorate live on stream, and I would talk to him about it live on stream, and he would completely deny that it was happening, and everybody could see it happen in front. You can go watch it on streams yourself, and it happened in front of everyone's eyes, and it got really embattled at the end. And he came on stream one time and attacked me over my autism. And he said he did it deliberately because he knew that's the thing that would hurt me the most. And he recorded a private conversation that we were having on Discord, and all of that broke trust instantly. And I said, don't come back.
Yeah.
Collaboration's over.
Here's where I have failed before in the past. I've engaged with certain people, and I spent an unhealthy amount of time trying to help them and lift their platform up and their SEO and all these things that help create art, to create marketing, blah 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 blah. I have an addictive personality in that sense, and if the person, I've learned over time who is worth giving that energy and time to and who is not. But in that experience, I was spending too much time on that, an unhealthy amount of time on that, and not having self-care, not spending enough time with my family, not spending enough time sleeping. Is that what this individual did? They went all in and they just streamed 24/7 and they broke down?
I That could have been sort of. I think they had stuff going on in their personal life too that was impacting them that they just weren't dealing with. Oh,
Hmm.
hey, shift. But I don't work any harder than the person I'm helping. So I'm not going to put in more work than they're putting in. So if I'm helping someone and they're not putting in as much effort, I pull back. So that keeps me from like over investing and having it be one sided where I'm trying to help them, but they're not helping themselves in the process.
I've learned from that experience, or I've accepted for the last time from that experience, that if a man does not keep his word one time, that's too many times. If they say afterwards, this was the scenario, if they'll a man will tell me ahead of time, I cannot keep my promise. There's something coming up, I cannot engage. If they ghost once, if they act like they didn't ghost, that's it. So
The other thing that was happening, that was playing into this was personal with me, and this has been an issue with with several collaborators. Is they have things toward me that start to build up that they don't address, and then it just keeps building and building and building, and it starts to impact their relationship with me. But I'm not aware of any of it, so I think we're still all on the same original page. But they're secretly building up this bank of negativity and resentment toward me that they're not communicating and we're not resolving. And so that happened with him too. There was a lot of buildup over the course of our collaboration that I wasn't aware of. So in addition to the deteriorating self-care, um, their their reaction toward me and their opinion of me had been changing in the process as well.
you're
But
someone
they
that's
weren't
willing to
communicating
engage.
it. I had 2 co-hosts actually that happened with. That
You're willing to engage if someone has a problem.
Yeah, absolutely. But I
Okay.
can't if I'm not aware of something. So what happens is it builds up and I'm never aware until the rupture, and then it all comes out. And then I'm like, "Oh my god, they had all of this in them for weeks and weeks and weeks, and I had no clue because they never communicated any of it." We could have resolved it way back when it was less, intense than the point that it got to by the time the rupture happened.
Right.
They were very avoidant type people. So they'd come on stream as though everything was fine, but it really was not fine inside of them. But I had no clue and no ability to be part of the solution because none of it was being communicated till after the fact.
Right. In my own maturing over time as a man, I've begrudgingly engaged problems with people I respect. If I don't respect somebody, like I'm not gonna waste my time trying to heal a friendship. But if there's a problem, I will now engage it. But there's not been many men that will humbly engage it without just some type of narcissistic shrug off where it's like that's a you problem or whatever. And I mean, if that's the case, I learned that friendship's not worth engaging longer. Like that's what that level of friendship is. It's an acquaintance, blah blah blah. It's a learning experience. But I haven't met many men in life that can honestly and openly engage in a disagreement and come to a solution. It's in my life almost non-existent.
I can usually do it if I know about it. Like if it's communicated to me.
Do you know what the basis for, like, was the two individuals, did they end up having the same
Yeah,
stress?
well, they were we there was 3 of us. I had 2 it was like a little trio of us. I kind of had 2 co-hosts at one point, and it was the 2 of them were having one experience of me that was very similar, but neither one was communicating to me, but they were kinda triangulating. They were all talking to each other about me, but
Ah,
not telling me about any of it.
back chatter.
And then the rupture kinda happened all around the same time with both of them, and that's when I realized that they both had these whatever, resentments, negative experiences, and so they were kind of feeding each other's narrative about me.
Right. I've been there.
But none of it tracked to anything that I could recognize. I'm like, "Where are they getting all this from? I don't know any of this stuff they're talking about. You're
Anytime
doing this, you're doing that, you did this, you made me feel this way." I'm like, I had no clue about any of this.
anytime I've worked in an HR type position on a server or any project, I've always told the individual that's had a problem, "Go talk to them, or I'm gonna tell them directly what you said because I'm not doing this back chatter." Because there a lot of people, I don't know if they just wanna be heard or have an opinion or like to gossip. I don't know what the hell it is, but it's extremely toxic, and it's not that it's crippling. So,
The
yeah.
triangulation.
Yeah. So, I think younger men do that more, and they need to learn a bit of a humbling experience. Like, when I was young and I was at a camp, I remember I told one guy something about somebody else, and he turned around and he said it to the other guy, and I was like, "Fuck." But ever since then, I learned that if I'm gonna be talking behind people's backs, it's gonna come back to bite me.
Oh, yeah, if I have a problem with someone, I go straight to that person, like, the minute it starts. Dude, one of my biggest pet peeves is when I find out somebody had a problem with me about something 2 weeks ago, and the whole time tell me when the problem's fresh. That's when I'm gonna best be able to understand it and do something about it. But if I find out 2 weeks later, you had a problem with something 2 weeks ago, the thing I'm gonna think the whole time is you were pretending for 2 weeks that everything was fine, and it wasn't. So for 2 weeks, the friendship was not what I thought it was.
If
And
you're
I go
so
to the person right away. If I have a problem with someone, you're gonna hear about it right away. I don't waste time, and I go directly to the person.
I'm
I have no
curious
problem.
if there's a difference between people that are unhealthy mentally and people that are healthy mentally, if they have the ability to um, see something for what it is and not internalize it and become offended by it. I don't know if you have to be mentally unhealthy and it's just a character type and you got to mature out of it. But I, I, I feel bad for people that get offended by things that were never offensive. Like if you did something and you were an asshole to somebody, I can understand them being offended. But if you were just being yourself and they saw it differently and never
Yeah,
challenged you on it, then yeah, I feel bad for individuals that get stuck in those
who's
situations.
that? Yeah, 'cause I can have a very strong personality that can intimidate or overwhelm a lot of people, but then
Right.
not normally people that are spending years and years and years as my co-host.
Yeah, it hurts when it's after a period of time. The one I've lost projects after a year, 2 years, and it just sucks. Like after it just sucks. Like you learn the flags so that in the future you can fast track it and not have that 2 year burnout. But yeah, maybe that's just how it works. We got to learn the hard way.
Yeah, and
But
I don't pick up on the flags at all. That's part of my limitation. I think other people are better at seeing those flags, but it usually hits me completely out of nowhere when I hear this stuff because I never see it coming.
maybe you're like you said, you're more trusting and I think you're more forgiving. I for myself, you have to earn my trust. I'll be kind and I'll be loving, but when it comes to something that I need to trust you for, you're not just going to get that trust.
And it depends on the type of trust too. There's like limited. I can trust you for particular things and not necessarily other things. So I kind of evaluate what I can trust the person for or not. But I have no problem giving people a certain basic amount of trust for free, just gratis, and see what they do with it. And then
Right.
I pull back or increase it based on what I observe from them.
Right. You're not just going to give everybody mod power
Because
from
I'm
day one.
also insulated. Like there's not a lot people can do to damage me in the first place. I don't give them, I don't trust them with things they can use to hurt me with.
Right. I understand.
That's why I'm so big on transparency too. Like I try to be very open about whatever's going on with me in the moment with the person so that they have all the I want people to have as much information as they possibly can to make decisions and evaluate things so I don't hold a lot back.
You
And
haven't
I
had any
assume
issues.
that I'm getting that from other people in return, but sometimes I'm not, but you never know until you find out
You
down the
haven't had
road.
any issues for quite a while, correct?
Not really. We had one co-host that was we were working pretty closely together and I don't know what happened. It kind of got tense on stream a few times and he dropped off the stream, just like randomly popped off. And he sent me a message in Discord saying, I'm not coming back. And I have no
Okay.
explanation, no clue what happened
That's
other than my
probably better.
personality.
Probably better than it could have been.
But again, I think it was a buildup. Like the personality just didn't happen that one day. It was probably built up over some time. And then that was his breaking point where he decided I've had enough of this.
Can you define co-host? Like what did that entail for you and
Well,
him
with
to be?
him, we actually had it's called the Nexus. His name was Joe. We actually had a separate set of episodes that we would call the Nexus. And the idea was he was a stock analyst. I was a mental health person. We were trying to bring other people with specific skill sets. Like we had this lawyer person, and we were going to invite people to come and connect to the Nexus and put their skill set in the pool as a resource and form a team where we could all draw on each other's skills and experiences to create something larger. And it ended up mostly just being me and him, but we would meet regularly once a week at a very specific time and do an episode called The Nexus that was a collaboration specifically between he and I. We'd pick a topic for that day and talk about it together. So it was a much more structured episode than open panel format.
Right. You know what's very interesting? The Discord server that I worked on that I walked away from was the Nexus. And the Nexus was also a concept. They had their concept where it was like a hub, but my
Yeah.
project build up for that was a space that all servers could come into. Instead of fighting for superiority and all the numbers, it was a place that all servers could come into and engage and share their projects that they're working on and pull from people in the Nexus for their panels. So it was like
Yeah.
a literal central Nexus. But
That's what we were
because
trying to
of
create.
right, but
The Nexus Connects Us was our slogan.
because of people's personal worldviews and personal vendettas, like it just humanity got in the way of progress. So
Yeah.
I don't know. I understand the
And
vision, but the actual successful, completion of it, I don't know.
I wonder how much of it is online versus real life too, because I've had very successful collaborations in person, like with hardly any problems. I've organized so many groups. I used to be a meetup organizer. I've done so many communities and groups since from when I was a teenager on up with hardly any problem. Everybody participated, they collaborated, they worked well together, they all could orient to a larger goal or mission and all do their part to make it happen. Something about this medium just increases friction.
Well, accountability. In real life, if someone shows up, if they're good for their word, if they're engaging with a real tangible project, they're in it. They feel responsible. If they don't show up, there's a connection to it. I think a lot of people see the internet as this non non consequential medium where they can say and do whatever they want or ghost people or whatever, and it just doesn't matter. That's been my experience. The
Yeah, I
people that
think yeah, low investment, low consequence, and I work off of intrinsic motivation. If I'm involved in something, it's because I am passionately motivated to do that thing, and I assume that about everybody else. I assume everybody's, like, passionate and motivated on their own. They have their own internal engine that's driving it, so that's why they're gonna show up because they see the value in this thing, and they wanna do it as much as I do. But
Mhm.
that's almost never the case, and I'm not the type to herd and corral and babysit and all that. I want adults that can show up because we all believe in the same thing together.
Organically, yes.
Yes.
Um, yeah, I did an event called the Weekly Dig on different projects, mostly on the Discords, and once a week on Wednesday nights, I would just like I do on the pub. I had all this stuff that I gathered over the week, and they're like, "RW, is there anything else that you have?" And I'll just bring up these different topics, and see if people will engage with it because they have interest. Um, Instead, like I'd like to offer it, but not as a co-host or a collaboration. You organically continue just to do your streams, and that day, if I have the time and the willpower, I can say at a certain time, like in the morning, "Hey, I'm able to give you my word tonight that I'll be on panel if you want to have material so that you can sit back and just have a stream." It's going to be slightly different because it's political, but it's in the same communication style that you already have with your
Yeah, we do
mental.
politics here. That's not and the open panel format makes it very easy to, like, come if you happen to not show up that night, no big deal. It's an
Right,
open panel anyway, but if you wanna drop in and have that be your contribution.
right. I'll just ask you, like, if I show up on panel, do you want to engage in a weekly dig, or do I would ask it if there's, like, not much being talked about, and then it can be an option for entertainment.
I also like that D&D idea you floated a while
I
back
love
too,
it, but getting
because 'cause I've
people
been
to
trying to
be
get some
around,
role playing happening here.
I it's eh, if you find people, man, I'll definitely try and engage. I'll definitely try and give 'em my word that I'll be there for it. I haven't
Who was Dino that comes up here was talking about wanted to he's never played, he wanted to try a D&D game. So,
it would
that was the big problem my co-host and I were having is and he w there's dreamers and doers. He was a dreamer, and so he would throw out all these ideas that would get me all excited, but they would never go beyond the stage of plan he'd spend hours envisioning the idea, and that's like hours we could have been spending actually doing the thing. And it would draw other people that were excited about the dream, but none of them could take a single step to make anything happen. They couldn't create a character, they couldn't show up for a meeting to talk about the game, they couldn't show up for a stream to do the thing, but they could talk for hours about doing the thing. And
right.
it would get so confusing to me because I'm a doer. The minute I have an idea, I'm ready to do it.
The when it comes to D&D for the current, user base, if you can find 2 or 3 people that are willing to engage in a D&D scenario, I think it's gotta be free form. You have to have the ability to create a story and ask them questions. Like, they can create a character on the spot. Like, you're an Italian mobster that's got a peg leg, and you only know how to say 3 words at a time. Like, you create your character on the spot, and then I'm going to ask you, or you're gonna ask questions, and what are you gonna do? And it's not your formal D&D where everybody's got all these rules and everything. It's creating story, it's creating engagement, and getting crosstalk, and creating a landscape. That's, I think, attainable. getting people to create a character and roll the dice and all that. I don't know. I
And
don't have.
it's so easy now with all the online platforms that are set up to do exactly that.
I have a
They have,
different.
Roll20, D&D. I mean, Wizard of the Coast has their own D&D platform now that like so and I'm old school. I was a first edition D&D nerd, and that was one of the exciting parts was to get together and roll up your character and fill out the character sheet and see what your ability scores were. Like that was part of the excitement of
Mhm.
D&D.
I've
But what
always.
you're saying, I have no problem with kind of that freeform narrative style of play, but that's at least more than we've been able to get off the ground so
I've only
far.
been able to succeed with the freeform because I've had, and it basically when I had a room full of 4 to 6 people that were the right people, I floated the idea and we just did it. So it's got to be
Yeah,
like a spur of the
that might
moment.
be what has to happen. But you know these D&D channels out there that like meet every week and they have a dungeon master and they sit around a table and it's an actual game you can follow from week to week and the story progresses and that like I'd like to do something like that.
I don't know those communities
But I'm
now. I
willing
did
to
that in my
settle for
20s.
whatever we can get going.
Yeah, if it's gonna be something that I can help with or engage with or is your thing, I would float more the free form. If you find a community that is gonna lock in and do those things, I mean, let me know. I'll try and engage because I did it in my 20s. I'll have to have a refresher course, but I'll sit down with all the laws and create my character, and I'll do my same thing of storytelling with all the rules.
And
But
all of that's automated now with these online platforms too. So it takes the burden off of the dungeon master for a lot of that stuff to where they can just focus on the story. But
I have
I like your idea of even like randomly during an open panel throwing out a scenario for people like, hey, we're in a dungeon and there's something coming down the hall, and what do we do?
I think it's also good
You're an elf.
for
You're a
for
ranger.
if there's like if the conversation's starting to go where you don't want it to go. I know you don't like to set rules and whatever, but it's a great distraction, especially if they're drunk. Like if you got a bunch of drunk people that are just howling at each
Drunk
other,
D&D.
huh?
That'll drunk D&D. That'll draw attention.
You're literally
I
just
think
asking them a scenario. Be like, this guy's coming at you, and this is what's going to happen. What do you do? It takes
yeah.
them out of their circular drunken bullshit and gives them a chance to like be creative.
I think we should try that one night.
Yeah, I'm down. I know that. I mean, you spoke out against the vibe, but that's something that can be done to bring the vibe back in check so that everybody's enjoying it without without forcing anything. Like you give them the opportunity to engage, and if they don't, well, oh well.
Half human, yeah, that's where you can multi-class and yes, we had the graph paper. You'd have to draw the maps and create the. Oh my god, I was such a D&D geek.
There's a guy that took a sweet potato and carved it as the main boss that when we did the table games, and he was an excellent artist. He drew everything out. It was super good. I really
Now we got AI. We
Yeah, I
got
mean,
like
you can fast
AI
track it, but the
video.
guys that spent all that time, like I really give a lot of respect to those guys that sacrifice their own time to entertain other people.
I mean,
But yeah,
all
like
at the
like
bottom of it, it's all storytelling. We're all getting together to tell a really good, fun story.
right. I still think it's a skill for a good dungeon master, a good story master to entertain a crowd like that. I think that is definitely a skill set. I
Yeah,
can
you have
do
to
it, but
draw them
not well.
into the story.
And yeah, getting people to dedicate to a time and a place on the internet, I've always struggled with that. Um, That's why I've enjoyed the pub again, because it's like there's I guarantee there's going to be 2 guys there every week like clockwork that I can sit down with and have a conversation. So it might be bigger than that. It might be 10 people, but worst case scenario, two or three bros are going to be sitting down having a conversation. I like being able to count on stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to have a healthy relationship with your stream because I can engage with it every single day, all day long, but I have to be careful to remember that I have other stuff in my life and to continue to engage with those things and not have an addictive personality.
Yes, definitely prioritize your real life over this or anything else on YouTube. I
Yeah.
support people having an off-stream life and a healthy, like, internet real life balance.
Yeah.
So as much as I appreciate the audience and the viewers, please do, and no one do it at the expense of your loved ones and your real life.
Yeah. Do you ever talk about screen addiction? I'm sure you have for mental health.
Oh, we talk about it all the time. Like how are we addicted and how addicted are we? And is this really addiction when it has so many positive benefits that a lot of us can't find in our real life? Is something an addiction that has so many upsides to it, like so many tangible upsides?
If you're willing to, so this is for myself. If I want something and I'll do that to my detriment, like I'll lose sleep or I'll not spend time with a family or friend, that is an addiction. I'm setting it like an idol above other things. Uh, if I had a healthy control of my time and usage, then I don't think that would be the same category as an addiction. So for myself, it's definitely an addiction,
Is it
even
controls
though
you
it's
like your
beneficial in ways.
is it how much control you have over it?
It's how much control it has over me. So yeah, uh, I enjoy the benefit of a good conversation, but that is not beneficial to my son, who I should be having a conversation with instead. So if my morals that I have accepted are being taken over with this thing, then that's an unhealthy addiction, even if it's benefiting, even if it has a beneficial uh, reward to it.
There are a lot of husbands and dads that spend their time here, and at not just here, but just on YouTube. And on the one hand, I'm glad they're finding a place to get some kind of support to help them be better fathers and husbands. But at the same time, I hope that they're taking this and applying it to the activity of fathering and husbanding at some point during the day.
Right. Like you said, dreamers and doers. This is the dream. We're dreaming
Yes.
it and we're
People
creating
are
the
very
understanding.
man, it's addictive. We live I think our imaginations are more important to us than anything. We live in our imaginations. We defend our imaginative versions of reality. We're very invested in our imaginations. We love to dream, and that's all great, but that's just the first step. And a lot of people just stay in the dream because
Rem-
it's so intoxicating to our brains.
we have the ability to do it now. 100 years ago, when they didn't have the technology that we have now, people were outside busting their ass just to have enough food to survive winter. Now we're basically have a universal income if we want it, and we can spend that universal income on all the food we want and all the internet we want and rent and whatever. And that's the opposite of what it was. So to be able to be healthy in the middle and spend our time engaging in exercise, labor, or benefit to society, to have a good balance, I think we then can maintain a good mental health. But if we just live first world lifestyle and don't have any hardships or labors or responsibilities, I think that is crippling
Yeah,
intelligence.
you grow through adversity. I mean, imagine a Dungeon Dragons game where you never went on an adventure or fought a monster. Like you grow through challenge. I need a certain amount of, in fact, part of my problem right now is I feel under challenged. I don't feel like I'm at the right level of challenge for me to grow.
And what challenges?
Oh, many ways. Even YouTube. There's way more I could be doing with this channel. I can only work with what shows up.
Y- as in people
There's
on the panel?
conversations I could be having, there's people I could be reaching, there's activities I could be doing, that would challenge me way more and help me take my work to another level.
Instead of YouTube or
No,
on
on
YouTube?
YouTube. on
Okay.
using this channel.
I mean, your current model, from my understanding, is that you're presenting an idea, and then people can come engage with that, or they can engage in whatever way they want. So you're still creating an opportunity for people to challenge you or challenge themselves. So
Yeah.
what
I'm
what else?
holding a certain type of space, but it's something I can do in my sleep. It doesn't take a lot for me to do this. I can do this on autopilot. So it's not a challenge for me to show up every day and hold this space.
Okay. It takes willpower to do that. What can you think of anything, any shower thoughts you've had that are uh things you can do that would increase the challenge instead of what you're just
Yeah, I want to
currently.
do more in-person stuff. I want a hybrid community of in-person events. I want an in-person network. I want to start chapters where other people can come here and, oh, look, there's 5 people in your area. They all meet at this pub once a week, and you can hang out here and you can go meet real people and do real activities with the same people that you meet here.
So I know we touched on this before. It's a matter of what puts your foot out the door. You know, what gets you moving to do that.
Opportunity, motivation.
Something has to present itself.
Getting a new SD card from my GoPro, that kind of stuff, logistical stuff. I mean,
Mhm.
if I had the drive to do it, I could make it happen tomorrow.
Right. There has to be a catalyst.
Right.
Uh, I mean, there's two type of people. Me and my wife are a good example of this. She will go out and beat the pavement and make opportunity. Myself, I wish I could say that, but I'm the guy that when someone presents an opportunity to me, I will choose to help them or not. I'll use if it's altruistic, I'll usually do it. If it's just for their own self gain, I usually don't care. But you are a very will powered person. I'm surprised actually that you don't go and create those opportunities. What is the
I used
disconnect?
to be a lot better of it until I moved up here, and here it's just hitting one dead wall after another, after another, after another. That
Like a
you just
failure?
learn helplessness. Yeah, the culture here is awful for that kind of stuff.
The culture for mental health?
No, for going out and making opportunities happen here.
Okay.
The people up here are not the type of people I can just go out and do that with like I could in other places.
Where would you have to travel to? What's the closest place where you would
I have
expect a
no idea,
different
but
outcome?
that's one reason for this. I want to do this road trip.
Like Santa Cruz or something like that. I don't.
The AI is telling me Tennessee. It plotted me a whole road trip through the country, and it analyzed me based on everything it knows about me, and it said Tennessee is the state you're going to most fit best in based on what I know about you. And it gave me
Where in
all the reasons.
Tennessee? Anywhere?
Huh?
Where in Tennessee? Anywhere?
Oh, I don't know. I'd probably pick somewhere in the mountains, but I don't know.
Interesting.
I don't know enough about Tennessee, so part of it's just gonna be exploring.
Uh, Miss
But
Cat,
for
I did.
it's mostly a lot of woke liberals up here. I have gone out. I've tried many different groups here. I hit this cultural wall where I am the outsider. There's something called the Seattle Freeze. That's a very different environment to try to make things happen in than it was in New Orleans when I had one of the largest meetup. It was an outdoor meetup group. We had over 1,000 members. We're always camping and hiking and mountain climbing and canoeing, and we had a full calendar. Every day you could pull up my meetup, and there were 3 or 4 things going on around town or some outdoor event that excursion people were going on. And I built all that from the ground up, from networking and making connections with the people in New Orleans because they weren't like the fucking people up here that thinks you just got out of a mental institution just because you try to talk to somebody.
Yeah, I remember that in Maryland. That was kind of the same mindset. When I moved to North Carolina, people were more open to talk, but at the same time, I mean, there's different issues. But I'm curious, like, what when you would go out, if you would to go out now and engage in some type of activity, what would ideally be that activity?
I don't know. I've tried board gaming groups. I've tried the kink community. I was involved in Toastmasters. I got involved in my local Republican Party. They're just I'm used to hitting the gas pedal and they just work at a completely different pace here. And if you push too hard, there's a lot of resistance against that, especially if you're somebody perceived as an outsider, particularly from the South.
What so it seems like what you're trying to get from the event is interaction with people. It doesn't really matter what the activity is. It's
Yeah, I need yes, people. Because if I'm gonna start some kind of in-person extension of this, I need people to do that with, but people that are also aligned with what I'm doing here online.
I just don't know what like have you ever done volunteering of any kind?
Oh yeah, tons.
I'm just curious if there's if just
I used to help run all of the autism meetings in Seattle. There was a big autism organization. I used to help them do their support groups, and even that was all volunteer. I didn't get paid for any of that.
I'm just curious if Charlie can even gather like if you're like, "Hey Charlie, what's a list of 10 volunteer events that are coming up this weekend in my area?" And and not
But
so much
you're
people.
volunteering with people from the same culture that I'm likely to hit the same cultural walls with. So volunteering up here is not gonna be the same experience as volunteering in New Orleans or volunteering in Las Vegas. I used to run these intellectual conversation groups at coffee shops in Vegas once a week. We'd pick a different coffee shop, a topic, I'd show up, people from the internet would show up, and we'd spend hours in the coffee shop just talking, and each week more and more people would come and it would grow because people were wanting that kind of in-person interaction.
Right. I've had a different experience with volunteer versus activities because the volunteer people are more of a selfless giving mindset in the first place, just to show up to give their time for something to help. Whereas an activity, people are seeking entertainment for self. So I was hoping that even though the culture and the liberal mindset is a thing up there, that if it's a volunteer event, that you'd hopefully run into people that are more compassionate, you know, just as a base, as a baseline.
I mean, I can do it. Like on a surface level, it would be fine. We would all volunteer and do the thing, but I don't think I'd make any deep connections outside of that. And they're not very much fun. They're very highly anxious and worry wart about everything. They can't just relax and have fun and volunteer.
Oh,
They're
I've
very
had
high
better
anxiety.
experiences than you then. I've definitely had better experiences.
Are we doing it right? Is somebody feeling bad? Is somebody judging us for having the wrong opinion? That like that I can't work with the type of people.
I just the last one I had is we were working on separating plants and preparing a bunch of plants for that county to go out and put along the road and stuff, and it was just a bunch of people hanging out and talking story, so that was
Yeah,
pretty
that
good. It was just too far away.
Dino, there's Dino. Here's one of the hey, do you still want to play D&D? And do you have a joke?
I remember you asking him for jokes almost every time.
Yeah,
It's
he's our
that
Deadpool.
guy.
He's our joke supply.
I do believe that when it gets warmer, when people come out of their caves, more opportunities will present themselves for you to decide if you're gonna.
Hiking. I've been trying to find a hiking group, a camping group, something outdoors for that. They are miserable to be on the trail with.
But
I
why
I
not just
go
why not
I
just walk
hike
up?
because I enjoy being outdoors with fun people that are also enjoying the experience. That's not who shows up for these hikes.
That's odd. Uh, have you ever just rocked up to a nature trail and went on the walk and had a conversation with someone randomly?
I would probably do it, with my GoPro.
Okay, well then you can create the opportunity to engage with your community, but if the opportunity arises to engage with somebody on the trail, there you go.
Yeah. I
I
also don't hike by myself either. It's just a safety thing.
oh, okay. That's fair. Down here, I'm usually strapped, so I'm not
What
worried.
kind of creating co see, that I already know I need to either get to a red state or get to the South. I already know that. I'm c like, part of it, I've been here 16 years. I know for a fact, people can believe me or not, think it's subjective or not. I know for a fact that part of it is cultural. There's more of a social or interpersonal resistance that I have to overcome here that's just not present in other places that I've lived. There's less trust, I think, that people have because they perceive me a certain way. They're very, like, group-minded here, and you're either part of the group and you're part of the story that all holds us together, or you're not, and you get treated differently, or you're more on the outside if you're not. All of that are very real things here.
It's very similar to Maryland. I lived by my neighbors up there for 20 years, and only the ones that all moved away early on were the ones that were engaging and friendly and family like, and then everybody that came and replaced them, like for the next 20 years, they wouldn't even wave at you. Like for if someone is liberal and the idea is to be accepting, uh, then it should be across the board, not like unless you're this, and this, then I don't like you. But it should be like, well, if you're fighting for acceptance of this, shouldn't it just be like, love your neighbor?
They accept, but they don't embrace. They keep you at arm's lengths here, and I used to take it very personally until I noticed that they do the same thing with each other. Like, they're not even close with each other, like, with their own people and their own kind, they're very distant from. So it's not even they're not even, like, doing something to me different than what they're doing with each other. That is the dynamic up here.
Is it a weakness
It
to have someone close?
I don't
I
know.
don't I'm just
It
curious
it's a
how
very
that works.
introvert the culture here is normed around introverts and their needs.
Okay.
Don't overwhelm people with conversation, don't engage people unless you have an explicit, like, signal or permission that they wanna be engaged with. Keep your distance, give
Does it
people
matter
their
what
space.
generation?
Doesn't seem to.
Okay. I love going up to old ladies and old men and just sitting down, talking. Like,
I
"Hey."
mean, it's better where I am now because I'm outside of Seattle. It's a little more middle America, a little more working class.
Okay. What would motivate what would you so if you don't go by yourself, what would you do with your GoPro? You'd have to have a friend that's willing to do something, and then you go do something with the GoPro, or how does that work
Yeah,
for
we
you?
go hike and see what we get into.
Okay. But you already
I
have a
like to
mate over there?
explore.
You have a
Huh?
friend over there? Not a mate
No,
in that sense. You have a friend over there that will if you're like, "Hey, let's
no,
go do something?"
no.
No. Okay. Damn, and, like, it's just sad that meetups are negative. Like,
When
people
I
are
first moved into my new place, my roommate and I went one weekend to this cave, and we hiked and walked around the cave, and we got a hotel, it was great, we had a lot of fun, and never did anything like that again. And that's the person I live with, like, that's a roommate, and that's the only time we've done it.
and they've never showed interest in anything since then?
Nope.
And if you asked them, they'd be like, "Fuck that."
I don't know if they'd be like, "Fuck that."
In a politically correct way. "Oh, I'm busy all those days."
I mean, he initiated it, like, he took time off of work specifically because he wanted to make this trip and do some hiking, and, "Do you wanna come along?" And
What can you explain how many times you've done meetups for hikes and why they were a bad experience?
you're talking about up here?
Yeah, unless that
Because of
wasn't up
the
there.
people, because of the culture, the people.
What
Um,
is the negativity of it?
when I first got up here, I was looking for 'cause when I hike, I'm a grown up. Don't tell me how to hike. Don't tell me what equipment I need to have. You don't need to have a checklist and make sure I'm carrying this and that before I hike with you. I like people that can show up and just walk down the trail and do their own thing as adults. Here, they police everything. Do you have your so much water? Do you have your mag light? Do you have your first aid kit? Do you have the well, if you're gonna hike, you really should have that's not fun to me. We haven't even started on the trail, and I'm already having a miserable time because I'm getting treated like a 3-year-old that doesn't know how to hike, and I need a nanny state to help me hike.
That was once, or that was every time,
Then they're
or
not no, this is the norm, it's on their websites, like, if you're gonna hike with us, these are the rules. They're very rules heavy here. They can't just show up and have fun. They have to have a million rules to have fun in, and they have to keep the fun inside the rules. And then when you're on the trail, "Oh, let's do this. Oh, let's go look here. Oh, no, we wanna stay on the trail. Oh, no, you're not supposed to do oh, no, I don't feel comfortable going" it's those type of people. They're not
I'm gonna tell you, man.
spontaneous, they're not fun, they're not relaxed. I don't know how else to describe it, but after enough hikes with those people the first year I was here, I was not motivated to go seek out hiking people anymore.
I just that's cr I've that I mean, wow, my experience is like, "Hi, are you ready? Alright." Like,
Mine too.
that
In New
was it.
Orleans, in Vegas, everywhere else I hiked, that was my experience. Up here, it is completely different.
Why not set up a hike not there? Just, like, set up a road trip to go and have a
I'm
hotel and
working on a road trip. That is very much in the plans. I'm looking at summer. I was gonna do it in spring. I may have to push it to summer, but
okay.
that's
I'm
that's
not
been a
gonna push
plan
on it,
for a
I'm just,
while.
uh
Part of it and the reason I'm frustrated is because I think people think that I'm not like, part of it is there are certain cultural factors here that I'm working against that are external to me that I don't know how to overcome, and it's not just inertia on my part or me being lazy or unmotivated. It's hitting one wall after another, after another, after another, after another, and you just burn out after a while of even trying. When I moved to my new town, I hit every interest group that I have trying to interface with the people, and I got that outside, like, freeze feeling that's so common up here. Wikipedia has a whole fucking article on it. The Seattle freeze. It's a real thing.
I can understand your
These
frustration.
are very frosty, cold, distant people that do not warm up to outsiders. They are very mistrustful of people not from here. And even people from here, they are very distant from. They do not get emotionally close with each other. And they do not know how to have fun. They go to parties and they sit around staring at each other and they say 2 or 3 sentences, and that is socialization to them. They're introverts.
At least know that
And they are very politically skittish about anything like right coded or anything. Anything masculine, toxic masculine, all that shit.
I'm not saying that you're not trying. I speak in a way that my mind is always solving puzzles, so I'm always speaking whatever solution I'm thinking. That's not saying that you're not trying. It's just me
Well,
trying to
I'm
solve a
not gonna
puzzle.
change them. The only solution I can come up with is to find people not like them, and I've searched and searched and searched, but people have a way of assimilating to the norms up here.
Yeah. I mean, I know that
I
if you're
remember
out,
when I first moved here, I met a guy and we went to the bars together. We had like a night on the town, and he made the comment like, "Oh my God, you are wild. I can already tell. I don't know how you're gonna do up here." And I didn't know what it meant at the time. I didn't have a context for it. But even he noticed something about me that was like at odds with the dominant culture that he knew this place to be. And I didn't really even do anything wild. I was probably a little bit talkative, high energy. I don't know even know what he meant by, "Oh, you're so wild."
see, from and even in my mind now, it's like I want to offer solutions. Like on your road trip, if you get to Texas, maybe there's somebody I know that you could go for a walk with that's just like laid back, or knows somebody that has something. Or once you get out to North Carolina, we'll go to Stone Mountain, we'll have a walk. I'm not going to ask if you have your fanny pack with you. If you don't, that's your
I've
problem.
lived in Texas. In Texas, I feel like I can just park somewhere and walk out of my car and talk to, like, 200 people if I want, and just have it go smoothly.
Right.
People in Texas are fun, they're relaxed, they're not uptight, they're not politically anxious, they're not introverts, they're not scared of people.
Why are you where you are? What planted you where you are?
I came up here in 2009 because I met a guy on the internet. that convinced me to move up here. I visited, I fell in love with the place. It was nature, it was all this hiking. Like I thought I was going to do all this outdoor stuff. I had no clue what the people were like. I thought it was just another part of America like every other part. I didn't know what introverts were. I didn't know what passive aggression was. I didn't know what socialism was or any of that stuff. I thought this was more or less a normal American city like any other city in America that I've been in. Nobody tipped me off. I wasn't prepared for any of it.
So you're like a caged animal now.
Kinda. I'm a hermit. I'm very isolated. I keep to myself and I spend my time on YouTube because that's the people I find that this shit doesn't happen with.
How
If I found people like outside in person that I find on YouTube, I wouldn't have this problem.
what
At
routine
work, in the break room, everybody sat there and played with their nobody talked to each other. If you tried to start a conversation with a coworker, they'd either glare at you or ignore you. That is the culture up here.
what are the chances that
The
on
more
your
you push, the more you force, the more you try to initiate, you just make the problem worse. You just mark yourself as more and more of a threat.
what are the chances that on your road trip you'll find a place that you'll move to? Like, do you have
So
roots
that's
there
the
that
goal of the road trip.
okay,
It's
I
two
understand.
goals. It's to help start this on the ground network through events and networking, and it's to find a place to live in. I don't plan to come back. I want to do it in such a way where I can get in my car and park wherever I find and not have to come back here.
Yeah, I respect that. That's definitely a leap of faith, but I don't see how it could be worse than
I've
staying
done
here.
it before. I've done it many times. I did it coming up here.
Yeah, when I was young, I did it. It's definitely stepping out with nothing and just walking in a direction. Life happens. Like I loved it. I loved it. I met
Yeah,
good
I'm
people.
great. I have no problem doing that. I'm great at that.
Yeah.
The thing that I've done it in the past, but I've never done it intelligently. I want to do it intelligently this time. That is the holdup with me.
What does
I
that
want to
mean?
have a specific destination. I don't want to just be randomly drifting. I don't want to take a
Okay.
random chance on a new place
Okay.
without knowing that it's the right place. Like I did up here, I just took a blind leap. So I want
Right.
to do it with a little more forethought and planning, which is not my strong suit.
Yeah. Um, I guess my question in that scenario to do it the right way is how do you live? How do you sleep? Like where do you sleep during the transition period as you find where you want to be? Do you
Oh, I
sleep in
can
your
sleep anywhere. I can sleep in a tent. I can sleep at a rest area. But part of it, I was going to try to like crowdfund it along the way as well.
yeah. I mean, any finance that comes in along the way is definitely a bonus. I'll definitely help with.
I've lived out of my car before. Like that's not even a factor I'm considering is where am I going to sleep?
Okay, I mean, if you're comfortable with that living situation, then I actually really look forward to the experience because I would even I'm even motivated to share with people. Be like, hey, I'm watching this guy that's trying to figure out how life that's on the road,
The
literally.
road trip itself is not a concern. Like I'm confident I can handle that part of it. There's just things I have to take care of up here before I'm able to like fully tie up everything here and commit to the road trip and have that be my full focus. So it's part of it's just my timeline.
That's awesome though. That puts your mind in the light at the end of the tunnel where you can see the finish line. And then my problem with that is once I have a finish line, it's very hard for me not to sprint, like to just go steady and tick all the boxes and then go. Like for me, once I have that,
Yeah, it is hard. It used to be. It used. I've. This is progress. It used to be a lot harder for me to do that. This is me overcoming that impulse and pacing it a little bit more.
so during how many months is it till summer? Like 5 still, right? 6.
Yeah,
Uh
more or less. And it. I mean, I don't have any particular date, so summer is very loose.
this medium is an excellent opportunity to randomly come across individuals that may become a part of that journey.
Well, yeah,
So that's
that's another thing. That's what I thought initially, and then all that Panelverse drama happened, and I'm like, "Oh, wait on, hold on, put the brakes on," because that's gonna take way more trust. I was willing to give way more trust than I probably should give to random strangers on YouTube.
no, I definitely have discernment. That's not what I'm saying. Having a healthy discernment and just networking with people and having them on the radar is a resource. Having blind faith that they're not going to do something horrible to you, that's not
I don't think I trust my discernment,
okay. Well,
especially if it's the YouTube crowd I'm having to discern from.
I would hope that people that are acting in good faith are different. I mean, there's serial killers that are good at pretending. I don't know. Maybe I'm a serial killer. You don't know, but
I don't know, like,
uh, I don't know. Hopefully you benefit somehow in between now and then from your efforts on here. Like, hopefully somehow you benefit from just knowledge of an area, knowing how to ask questions from people that are in those areas of what do you find valuable, what should do you think you should stay away from, like stuff like that.
AI mapped out an itinerary for me, and I shared it on stream back whenever it did. So, like, people know the route, whatever stream it's on. I've already shared the route that I'm probably going to take.
Yeah, but you're not time stamping and GPS locating as you go along. I wouldn't
And
recommend it.
I probably won't.
But yeah, like that's exciting. I probably will live vicariously through you when you do that because I've put my roots down deep and I don't think I'll be having adventures like that until I'm an empty nester. So I'll be like, hey, I wonder what Jeff's getting up to today and what he's experiencing, or his background has changed. It's no longer a beige wall. It's a different forest. And food, I mean, I used to travel for like entertainment and events, but I swear to God, I travel for food more than anything now.
To like eat or to acquire food.
To experience places that may have good food. Even if it's a cafe, if they make their own bread.
Like a
There's this
food,
one
just
place,
dining experience.
dining experiences, yeah, and cultural dining experiences. So I love good food that's authentic. Like, I don't like fast food, I don't like chains, I'll eat it, but it's very different than someone that made that bread, or someone that made that cheese or peanut butter or whatever. One thing I can tell you, the South, boiled peanuts taste like shit. I don't know why people like them so much.
I was never big on boiled peanuts. I don't mind shell, like peanuts, roasted,
Roasted.
whatever. The
Yeah,
kind they serve
exactly.
you at the store.
They ruined a perfectly good legume, man. Yes, David, I'm a hermit, dude. I don't leave this property.
I think we're all pretty much shut-ins.
Like, even if I go to town, my wife is the one that's more than happy to get away from the kids and go shop for groceries or whatever. I go to town so rarely that when I do go, something has changed. Like there's a new restaurant, or like a store has changed out, or they've completely changed the whole grocery store to all the stuff somewhere else. I'm like, have I really been gone that long? Is this how fast society's moving? I went to a gas station once. I didn't even know how to buy the food. Like, there's no cashier, and you just take all the stuff. And the guy had to show me. You just put it on this platform, and it like RFID scans everything, and then you tap your card and you leave. I'm like, am I
Is there
really?
anyone in the store at all?
There's one guy that's behind the booth area, like that gets the cigarettes and stuff, and he had to basically be the cashier anyway because I didn't know what the fuck I was doing. So that I was the one guy that had to work for that day. But like, just
Oh,
those types of society changing, I definitely feel old and a hermit when I go, and it's like I don't even know how to buy the food. Have you ever seen that? Have you ever seen where you just put all the stuff up on a table and it
they
scans it?
have, I didn't go because, my roommate had an account, but they had the Amazon store here where you don't even check out. You just put your groceries in the basket, and there's these sensors, and it knows how much, like by weight, what you bought. And then as you walk out of the store, it just zaps your phone and takes your money out of your account. You don't even have to talk to, you just go take your groceries off the shelf and leave, and it charges your Amazon account remotely.
Did they cancel that model? Did they cancel that?
I think like this year, last year, they decided they shut down that one. I don't know if they're doing it everywhere, but the one store in Seattle that they had that was
I
doing that,
heard
I think.
about that, and I'm curious if people mastered the art of stealing and robbing that place blind.
And I think they had a person in there, but you never had to interact with them.
Right. That's
It
like
was
that sounds like
Amazon's
a
friend.
dream in your area. That's the Washington dream.
Yeah. I do
Okay.
self-check. I've done self-check forever. It's like mainly because I don't wanna stand in line with the cashier. If the cashier is free, I'll go to the cashier, but mostly I just go to self-check.
I love the
And
cashier,
not
but they
because I
don't
don't
even
wanna
have no
interact with
queue
the person,
anymore.
just because it's easier for me to just do it myself.
Exactly. At the Walmart here, there's 2 cashiers. There's 25 cashier places, but they only run 2 people. So it's easier to go and do it yourself because you don't have to wait.
Yeah. Banking, oh, I'm so glad I've never had to talk to a person to bank in, like, decades.
Right. I don't like when I'll be watching a movie and they like whip out their checkbook, or like my grandfather, he'll be like, "All right, how much do I owe you?" And you pull out your checkbook and you're just like, "Just keep the money, grandpa. I'll just keep the money. I don't even want the money." I mean, balancing a checkbook, like we had to learn how to do that.
Then we had the carbon, like, I thought that was high tech, that you didn't even have to write the amount in the back anymore, you just had the carbon checks.
Or the credit card
Wow,
slider with the
this is I
carbon.
don't even have to balance the checkbook anymore.
Yeah, times have changed, man. We have an old typewriter set up behind me, an old IBM, like state of the art, uh, computerized one. And my boys are learning how to type on it just for fun to use up the ribbon. And like, I guarantee that the other kids their age have never even seen anything like it.
I I hear they're not even teaching them handwriting anymore.
I see, like, I feel like Hitler trying to teach my kids how to use proper grammar and capitalization and everything, because I'm wondering, like you're saying, are they even teaching kids this old technology? What happens if there's no electricity? What the kid gonna do? What's he gonna do to make a note? Just figure it out?
Right.
Hopefully he can read his own handwriting if you've never used his hand to write before. I mean, that's
Can
like
they
so
print at
extreme.
least? Are they still making their letters?
I'd love to. The only thing I've gotten to debate in the last 5 years during COVID mostly is like litter boxes and toilets, or crazy ass ideology crap. I'm curious what the actual curriculum for arithmetic and everything is these days. I'm really curious
What's the
because
ideology of a toilet?
not the ideology
Racist?
of a toilet, but other ideologies, gender ideologies, all that crap. Furries was mixed in with it, and litter boxes was mixed in with that.
Oh.
Um, but I am curious, like what they did actually teach the kids. What do they have to know versus what do they accept that technology is going to already do for them? Do you have to
I was
know
thinking
your times
I think
table,
they're
or you
making their
just,
best guess.
huh?
'Cause I think, AI is gonna accelerate things so fast that nobody's gonna know what we're gonna need to know 10 years from now.
I would hope that society still teaches people what to do when the lights go out. Like home ec will become off grid technology class.
I think they'll learn that through experience, soon enough too, like with enough experiences of power outages or storms. Like, that's the
I,
kind of stuff you pick up pretty quickly. We grew up with hurricanes, so I knew how to turn on a coal oil lamp when I was, like,
right.
5.
I'm curious how many people that are 5 years to 12 years old know how to start a Coleman lantern.
Do they still have Boy Scouts or whatever
Uh,
genders the scouts
uh,
are nowadays?
Oh God, that's why my kids are in Boy Scouts. There is chapters around here I can get them into, or there's church chapters that are called Pathfinders. That's the same idea, but I just teach my
Boy
kids that
Scout
because,
handbook.
huh?
I used to have the handbook. I would sit by myself. I would just go through the chapters, and it taught you all this stuff. And they had little projects you could do and little exercises to fill out. I was like mostly self-taught myself the Boy Scout stuff, and then the Scoutmaster could show me the stuff that it needed a person to teach.
Right. My oldest son is able to do it self-taught. My youngest son definitely needs a hands-on instructor. So it's nice to have an instructor. But yeah, I that's one thing I do with my boys is I give them a survival kit and I have them figure it out. You know, you're going to cut your fingers. Yeah. You're going to burn your fingers. Yeah. But hopefully after you do that a couple times, you realize how not to do that and how to
I'm
actually
gonna do
start a
all
fire.
that. I'm still probably gonna keep doing it.
I mean, it's worth some things are worth knowing. How to start a fire when shit hits the fan. That's a survival thing. If you live in a cold climate, otherwise it's just for clean water and cooking your food. But like where you guys are, if you don't know how to make heat, good luck. Got to the introverts better learn how to cuddle in a sleeping bag at that point.
Yeah, what a way to go.
Cuddling in a sleeping bag is probably way better than some other stuff, but for an introvert, probably not. Maybe they think that's probably worst way to go.
Yeah, I wonder if how they would survive.
I remember, like, I'm extremely heterosexual. Like, I'm not exactly homophobic, but like if another guy touches my arm or whatever, I'm extremely aware of it. But when I went to Tasmania to do backpacking, it got so cold that you cuddled up next to your bunkmate, like in the tent. Like it's like they're all of a sudden this is so cold that it's not gay to touch each other and
Yeah.
be warm. So that's when I learned that temperature changes your core beliefs.
Yeah. I
I'm
mean,
not
the
interested.
survivors do it. I don't know if there's been a survivor yet that couldn't cuddle with someone for warmth if they needed to. So if the people on Survivor could do it, I'm sure the introverts can pull it off.
Survivor. There's a reality TV show. I When it comes to the whole feminist movement and like toxic masculinity and all those arguments, in a survival situation, a real survival situation, I believe men and women naturally separate into their roles without debate. Like if someone's got to go out and kill a boar to eat, are you going to be staying back to set up where it's going to be cooked and make sure that everything's ready to go, or are you grabbing the spear and risking your life to stab that bitch to death? Like I think there's certain aspects of male and female and size and all this and that work themselves out.
Yeah, probably. I think I could do either one. I'm pretty flexible there.
That's cool. Whatever's needed. I respect that. How's it going, Laura?
I mean, grabbing the spear sounds like more fun, but
It
I would also
definitely
want the
it's
thing
definitely
to be set up
consequence.
right.
I don't know if you've ever been around wild pigs, but they're deadly.
Oh, so are spears.
Yeah,
Especially
make
if
sure
I'm
it's a
using
long
one
one.
because I have no idea what I'm doing with it. So everybody's at risk.
That's also true. That's one thing that scares me about guns. I don't really care if people
Oh, me
have
too.
them unless they don't know how to use them. Then I'm a little bit more cautious around them.
Me too. Don't ever put a gun near me. I'm the last person whose hands you want to put a gun in.
My mom has a liberal, very liberal cousin that came to the property up here, and I got them to try and hold a pistol and shoot it, but their mom came out. This is my, like not my grandmother, but her sister, and she started screaming like, "Get that thing out of her hands!" Blah blah blah, like crazy. Like, the guns are dangerous. To get them out of here. No, we're not doing that. And I'm like, I can see how there's generational trauma and lack of knowledge of weapons if this is happening in front of my eyes. Like, a completely controlled environment, absolutely safe, you know. But this person that came out that was freaked out by guns made it extremely unsafe environment.
Was
I've
she
never
from that
experienced
culture?
that before. Yeah, well, she's from something. I don't know what happened. I've never experienced that before in my life. I've seen people that didn't like guns, but I've never seen anybody that thought I was murdering their offspring by giving them the opportunity to shoot a gun. I felt like dirty afterwards. That was a very weird experience.
You internalized it.
I
I would have been like, "Who
I
is this
internalized
crazy
it.
lady? I'm not doing anything wrong."
I internalized it. Yeah. I like shock factor, man. I think shock factor definitely breaks down our barriers. My mind's shutting down though. I'm no longer going to be a good panel.
Oh yeah, it's what, midnight over there?
Yeah.
Why don't you get some rest? And this has been a good conversation. We went 3 hours.
Yeah, I'm glad I got a chance to just hang out with you. I'll probably lurk tomorrow and go with the flow. So I appreciate the opportunity, and I'll talk to you later, buddy.
You too. Thanks for coming up. All right, unless anybody else wants to come up, I think that's enough for tonight. I'll be out tomorrow morning. I think we're gonna do compassion fatigue and emotional burnout, stuff like that. Right now, I'm gonna go do real fatigue and do some self care, put myself to sleep. So, thanks for hanging out, people. Uh, See you tomorrow. Have a good night. Sleep well. Pleasant dreams. All that. All right. Take care. See you tomorrow.